Ladies and gentlemen, we are fired up. This is Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. I'm Rick Kamla. To my left, it is Dr. X, Dr. Phil McDonald. He is the founder, the creator, the patriarch of this network. He is a sports medicine radiologist, owner of a team in the TBT. He's a man about town, both in New York City and Los Angeles. Dr. X, to my right, we have Dwight Walton, Canadian basketball legend, played in the Seoul Olympics back in 1988. And over there, we have A.M. Pfeffer, anchor, businessman, holding it down in our LA studios. He's an author as well. Super excited, guys. Brandon Scoop B. Robinson is going to be joining the show in an hour. He's an elite NBA insider. He calls himself the insider that players trust. And I think that's dope. And he's dope. And you guys are going to love Brandon Scoopy Robinson. So we've got some breaking news, guys. And it's not good. Micah Parsons, and this came down yesterday. We knew about Patrick Mahomes on Sunday, but it was confirmed yesterday on Micah Parsons. Both of them have torn ACLs, okay? So, Doc, roll up your sleeves. The XSN Clinic will be coming up a little bit later on in the show. Certainly devastating news for both of these guys and their teams. We'll break it all down. But we got to start on the hardwood with some hoops. We begin by rewinding to Saturday night to Vegas, semifinals of the NBA Cup. Spectacular games, especially the Spurs victory over the Thunder, 111-109. Candidate for Game of the Year. We'll get to that later. Shout out to Dr. X and Dwight for picking the Spurs to end the Thunder 16-game winning streak. I was wrong. They were right. Wemby played 7 minutes in the first half. We're all going, what the heck's going on here? 14 minutes in the second half. He was a plus 21, okay, in 21 total minutes off the bench. Wemby, Vassell, and Castle and Fox all had at least 22 points. OKC built a big lead, right? 16-point lead. But that was with Wemby sitting the entire first quarter and then playing about half the second quarter. The Spurs defense was really impressive, holding OKC's big three all under their numbers. SGA had 29, Chet had 17, J-Dub had 17. Not enough. So let's break it down XSN style, guys. What did Wemby prove in his return? Dr. X, I want to go to you first on this, man. Let's go. Let's have some fun. What did Wemby prove in his return on Saturday night?
He proved that he can make impact in minimal amount of minutes, as well as it doesn't always have to be about scoring. It doesn't have to always be about, dunking the ball or hitting threes or even scoring 30. He played in spot minutes and he was able to get it done. So I was really happy to see that, he was able to not let it get to his head or not distract him. And he seemed like he was locked in from the minute he came in, didn't have to warm up. He was talking to trash. He was flexing on people. He was doing it all. So I just feel like he was also like, even on the foul line, he was talking trash when Chet missed the free throw. And he wasn't perfect from the line either, but he knew the implications of him missing that free throw and, was already celebrating, which could have been potentially detrimental. But all in all, I was impressed that Wemby, I want to say he has a switch, but he's capable of doing that. He's different from the rest. So I was happy to see that.
All right, Dwight Walton, what did Wemby prove in his return on Saturday night?
He simply proved that he impacts winning. Just his presence on the floor, it's pretty clear that the Spurs are going to take their time with their franchise player. They have him on a minutes restriction. They have him capped at 20, 21 minutes. It's going to be interesting to see how many minutes he plays tonight. But I think the Spurs are looking at the bigger picture. But it's pretty clear that just his presence on the floor, because the Spurs held it down with a 9-3 record in the 12 games he didn't play. But the reality is the Spurs are a championship contender with him on the court. That was proved on Saturday night, whether it was him protecting the rim, being in a presence at the rim on the offensive end where he has to command a second defender on the offensive end, which makes his other players better. And you can tell Steph Castle, De'Aaron Fox, Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, Keldon Johnson, all of the supplemental pieces on the Spurs felt better about themselves and a lot more confident going into that game against Oklahoma City Thunder. I think they have a roster that's built for today's NBA, and I think Victor Wembanyama caps that roster because of the way he impacts winning on both ends of the floor.
Well, we're off to a great start, AM. Keep us rolling here, man. What did Wemby prove on Saturday night?
He proved it pays not to rush your star players back. That's really what it takes, and that was a smart move. I mean, we're not about load management on this show, nor am I, and this isn't about load management. This is just the notion that you don't need to rush a guy back, and he trusted his team. He trusted his coaches. He trusted his medical staff to make the right decisions for him. He probably could have come back a game prior to get them to Vegas and play that game for the semifinals of the NBA Cup. But no. He said, it's all good, and I'll do it for you from the bench. I like that.
I like it too. So here's my answer on this, guys. Victor Wembanyama proved all of the stuff that you guys are saying. He proved that he and the Spurs can win the title this season right now. They went toe-to-toe with one of the greatest teams of all time, okay? We all agreed in the last show that the OKC is beating Golden State 73-9. I don't think we're amending that opinion with a 2-point loss to a fantastic Spurs team, right? At least I'm not. And, they've got to win the championship and win 74-plus games to, have that as like one of the best teams or the best team. But I'm just saying, it's a very, very impressive win for San Antonio. I did not think a Spurs championship was possible this season before seeing San Antonio beat OKC. That was huge for me. I knew the Spurs would make a run and be contenders and all that kind of, but now the ceiling is off the Spurs. For me, they're not an upstart team. They're not a team on the rise. They don't have to wait till next year. Wemby just said about his urgency. He's like, I'm in my third year. I know I can't play forever. I don't want to wait anymore. Okay, and I'm paraphrasing what he said. He's in go mode right now. So here they are. They've arrived. They're not on their way to arriving. They're not at the door. They're on your couch right now. They've arrived. They're eating popcorn and drinking a beer, okay? They're here. They're a problem because of Wemby and their 4-pack of killer guards. Wemby proved, guys, once again, that he's a psychopath on the basketball court. He's not a killer. He's a serial killer, okay? He's an a-hole. And we say this affectionately, right? Like I've told you guys, I've talked to all these ball players that say, if you're not that, you can't win a championship, okay? And so Wemby is that. He's a killer and all that other stuff. That's why he's the only person in the league who still likes Chris Paul, okay? Wemby has all the intangibles you got to have to be a champion. Here are 2 examples. Okay, Alex Caruso has that great dig down and knock away, right? Wemby bobbles the ball a little bit and just goes with the flow, fades away with this 3-foot-long hand and gooseneck, right? Splash, it goes in. He points at Caruso, said something to him, and just stared him down, dude. What is that? Dude, you're a psychopath, okay? And Doc, like you said, Chet misses the crucial free throw late in the game. Wemby screams, okay, like Rasheed Wallace might have back in the day to a referee. Ball don't lie. One of those type of things, man. It was absolutely amazing. And that's what Wemby proved to me on Saturday night. All right, so let's move on here and talk about the Wemby and Chet rivalry. Is this the best rivalry in the NBA right now? Not team, obviously, player rivalry. AM Fab, for you first, is Wemby and Chet the best player rivalry in the NBA right now? Because they got into it a little bit, as they always do on Saturday night.
It's not even close. It's absolutely the best rivalry. And look, I understand there's the Dylan Brooks, LeBron James, or the list goes on and on. But these are 2 big men, young guys, prime of their career. And just so you know, when Chet Holmgren may have missed that free throw, but my man was still a plus 18 in that game. Shea, he was a plus 2. I mean, besides Caruso, who was a plus 22, a lot of other players on the OKC that night were minus. Not Chet. He did what he needed to do besides missing that free throw. But hey, crunch time is crunch time. And I agree with you, man. Wemby is a serial killer. He has that edge. There's no question. All he wants to do is win, and it's exciting to see. But yes, as far as rivalries is concerned, these are the two guys I want to see going head-to-head. This is my Western Conference Finals for the next 6 to 8 years. I hope it happens year after year after year because this is by far the best rivalry in the NBA right now.
Dr. X, do you agree? Is Chet and Wemby the best player rivalry in the NBA right now?
I think it was trying to be a rivalry and people were trying to gas it up to be that. I just think it's not. I think it will be right now, but looking at the score, how much did Chet have?
Chet had 17.
Yeah, I just don't see Chet being dominant until Chet is like the second best player in that team, and I don't even think he's close to getting there yet. I don't see it as a rivalry. And what's funny is that Wemby doesn't think it's a rivalry either. It's more the teams. And if anything, I would say it's between him and SGA. I just think it's just based off of height. Why they call it a rivalry. The time that they arrived, Chet having another rookie year because of the the Achilles rupture that he had. But I don't really see it as a rivalry. I think there's some better rivalries out there, like guard play in terms of the guards. Like, even Steph and Damian Lillard was a better rivalry for me. But I just don't see Chet and Wemby as a rivalry. I think they're trying to force it on us.
It's a great answer, man. I did not anticipate that. AM says, no doubt best rivalry. You say it's not even a rivalry. I like where we're going here, okay? Let's spice it up a little bit before I get it over to Dwight. So this is Wemby after the game, and he doesn't mention Chet by name, but it sure kind of felt like he was talking about Chet. Play it.
It's just, again, I feel lucky. I'm glad we have this group because everybody buys into this and everybody is built for these moments. Some people are built for these moments, some aren't, but we definitely are, and it shows because it's not against anybody that we won that game. So it's just, again, I feel lucky. I'm glad we have this group because everybody buys into this and everybody is built for this.
Hey, so we'll get out of this now. Dwight, first of all, do you perceive that as shade towards Chet? And to you, is Wemby and Chet the best player rivalry right now?
I don't think it's any shade towards an individual. If you listen further into that clip, he talks about how their team plays ethical basketball. I learned a lot more in that quote than I did in anything else that Victor said it in his post game presser. He thinks that the Thunder, SGA in particular, skirts the rules or manipulates the rules with the amount of fouls that he draws. And I'm on record as saying drawing fouls is a skill. We can discuss that at a later date if you want, but I absolutely believe that drawing fouls are a skill. And if Victor and the Spurs and the rest of the NBA think that the Thunder don't play ethical basketball, I'll respectfully disagree. In terms of the rivalry, I think the narrative from the media is that they want this Chet Holmgren, Victor Wembanyama to build to a rivalry because these two players and these two teams will be playing for the Western Conference Finals for the foreseeable future because of the youth, because of the way the roster is built. Yes, you want to see Chet and Victor on a big stage going at it because of the size quotient. I get it. But it's pretty clear to me that today, the best rivalry is LeBron James and Dylan Brooks. And I think it's not even a contest, just based on how you see these two go at it. This dates back to when Dylan Brooks was with the Memphis Grizzlies. And some people may say that's why the Grizzlies got rid of him. But everywhere he goes, his team seems to compete harder and they seem to win. So for my money, the best rivalry right now in terms of player versus player is LeBron James versus Dylan Brooks. To me, that's a no-brainer.
Fascinating topic. AM's got a no-brainer. Wemby, Chet, you've got a no-brainer. Dylan, Brooks, and LeBron. And by the way, we will be talking about Brooks and LeBron. They had quite the spicy encounter on Sunday night. That's coming up later on in the show. About 45 minutes from now, we will have Brandon Scoop B. Robinson, the insider, players trust. Joining us here on Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. I do not perceive Wemby and Chet as the best player rivalry. I think it's a really good one. I do agree with Doc that it's being artificially gassed up. I do, however, think it is a rivalry. You've got two bigs. They do guard each other. They're going to be in each other's way for the next 10 or 15 years. And so I do think it's going to really be a good rivalry. Dwight, I agree. I would put Brooks and LeBron over Wemby and Chet. But I have one that I think supersedes all of this, and this just comes from my nutty, maybe overly creative mind. Nikola Jokic and Victor Wembanyama, to me, is the best player rivalry in the NBA. There's no matchup I would rather see. And I was beyond geeked, okay? Changed plans on Saturday night, right, to watch that game and make sure I was in a spot where I could watch that game. And so Jokic and Wemby, hello? I think they're the two best players in the world. And I'm not saying that SGA is not the MVP. He is for me. But Wemby and Jokic, I think, are better players than SGA. I'd rather have them on my team than SGA. I know that's a huge statement. But Wemby and Jokic guard each other. They're both statistically unbelievable. It's Wilt Chamberlain versus Bill Russell all over again for me. And let's go back to January of 2025, about 11 months ago, guys. Wembanyama and Jokic played in back-to-back games. Wemby had a clutch block to get a win against Jokic, but then Jokic came back the next night with 46, 23, and 10 on Wemby's 21st birthday, getting even. So to me, it's Wemby and Jokic. I demand this matchup in the second round of the playoffs on the way to meeting OKC in the conference finals, right? Because the Spurs and the Nugs, I don't think can meet in the conference finals, right? I mean, we got OKC, to me, is almost guaranteed of a spot right there. All right, good combo. Like I said, LeBron and Dylan
Rick,
Brooks coming up in a little bit. Hit me.
I 100% agree with you. And I'm not sure if you heard that soundbite from Victor earlier this week, and I'm sure Dwight probably heard it. But pretty much they asked him in an interview, who do you think is the best player in the world right now? And then I think they asked if he thinks Jokic is the best player in the world, something like that. Regardless, he said Jokic is the best offensive player in the world. And I think he was maybe casting some shade on the fact that he doesn't play defense like he does. But then he went on to give examples of two guys that he thinks are the best in the world. He said it's between SGA and Giannis. And I think because he's saying those guys play both sides of the floor. And so he gave Joker his props. So yeah, he's definitely the best offensive player. And then he went on to say, when I come back on the floor, I will be, he says, I think. He tried to like make it a little bit more diplomatic. He said, I think I'll be the best player in the game when I return. So I love that about Wemby, speaking with his chest and saying that. And you see multiple examples of him doing that. But I think you're right. I think he and Jokic are the next matchup because people are saying he's the best in the world. And now Wemby is challenging that outright. And right now he's saying, when I'm not on the floor, it's SGA and Giannis, not Jokic. SGA and Giannis. And then Jokic is just the best offensive player.
If I may,
go ahead.
If I may chime in here, don't you think? And Rick, I get what you're saying in terms of Wemby versus Jokic, possibly the two best players currently in the NBA. But I saw a pretty decent matchup just last night between Nikola Jokic and the Houston Rockets' Alperen Sengun. They both played fantastic last night. I think there's more of a rivalry there currently than there is between Jokic and Wembanyama. Yes, we're talking about in terms of championship contenders. We're talking about in terms of impact on winning. I, on the group chat a couple of days ago, said I think that Wembanyama and Jokic are the two most impactful players in terms of winning that we currently have in the NBA. But I liked what I saw last night, and I think we're going to get more of those type of matchups when we see Alperen Sengun and Nikola Jokic play against each other. There's that European feel. There's the similar skill set. And not only are they able to score for themselves, but they make their teammates better because they're willing passers, especially when they initiate their offense from the 3-point line into the mid-range. I think it's a fantastic rivalry as far as I'm concerned, and you see the similar skill sets more in that type of matchup.
Love the point. I do not like those Houston jerseys, by the way. That picture we just had of Şengün, could you put that back up? These jerseys, these uniforms suck. They're horrible.
They do.
Hey, take these out back and burn them, please. That uniform's awful. It's so boring. H-Town, and it's just red and white. Brutal. But
Brought to you by
worst
Credit Karma.
the worst uniform in the league is my Timberwolves with that big block across. It just says Wolves. It's so boring. Guys, burn that jersey too, okay? Burn it, please. All right, let's start. AM, you're going to be up first here, man. We start the rapid fire round. Let's go, baby. 60 seconds or less. Shout out to our guys, producer Jason Arambula and our video director, Kai Josephson. Guys, fire up the clock. Let's do this, man. So, AM, the first debate topic that we're going to get you on the clock and all of us on the clock here is, does Wemby get the game ball? You had 4 Spurs who are really cooking in that game, right? Does Wemby get the game ball, or are you going somewhere else? You, AM Pepper, are on the clock.
Oh, it's easy. He absolutely gets the game ball. 21 and 21. 21 points in 21 minutes, right? And there was a clear differential between what Oklahoma City was able to do and how much better they were in that game and winning that game when Wemby was on the floor and was off the floor. He comes in pretty cold in the second quarter and gets it done when he needed to halfway through that quarter, and what he did in the second half. I don't need my 60 seconds. I'll take 30. This is an easy answer. Wemby gets the game ball. I don't even care what anybody else did on the teams. That is such a differential. Punctuated. Done. Wemby ball.
And I love it because you don't have to eat up the whole 60. And by the way, we're going to be soft. It's going to be like the salary cap or non-existent salary cap in baseball, right? If you happen to go a little bit over 60 seconds, we're not going to yank you. We may start playing music like they do at the Oscars to kind of speed. I'm just kidding, but maybe I'm not. You'll have to stay tuned and find out about that. Let me go to Dwight Walton next here. Put him on the clock. Dwight, does Wemby get the game ball for Saturday night?
He absolutely gets the game ball. And this is a no-brainer once again. He impacts winning. He played 7 minutes in the first half and was a plus 20. He played 21 minutes total for the game and was a plus 21. He didn't have to score the basketball, although his baskets were very impactful. But it's the offensive rebounding. He gives his team extra possessions. Just the mere fact that he's on the floor is an inspiration for his team. He makes the San Antonio Spurs, to your point, Rick, they're championship contenders now because of the roster around them. So this is the way it is. I appreciate the national anthem, folks. Thank you very much. But Victor Wembanyama absolutely gets the game ball for Saturday night because he makes his team championship contenders today.
I love it, guys. I love it. How creative. How creative. Yeah. Rick, if you want to shoot the question at me again. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute, Rick. That's one. Strike one.
Hey, play the anthem on me. Dr. X, does Wemby get the game ball? Put Dr. X on the clock.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, I think it's a quick and easy one. He shifted the whole game. He shifted the room. You know, people walk in a room and they can shift it. That's a Wemby. Wemby, I think even in the first half, it was like 7 minutes. We were all pissed off. We were like, this has to be some Popovich doing why he's not in the game.
You were pissed off.
I was, but Rick was too. And then we figured out that he was on minutes restriction. But then he wasn't the first guy off the bench. He was the first guy off the bench, so we were pretty pissed at that. So long story short, even in the first half, he was a plus 20. So right there, you have it. And then all the stuff he did, all the heroics towards the end, and Caruso tried to punk him, and he still hit that fadeaway in his face. Unlike Jokic, who wasn't able to do that. So I go with Wemby, 100% game ball.
I'm going to go a little different on this, guys. And I'm going to give the game ball here. You guys are right, okay? I don't disagree with anything you're saying. I just want to take a little different approach here. I'm going to go with Devin Vassell, okay? When does he get love, right? Super clutch play, 1.5 seconds left, Spurs leading by 2. Caruso gets that putback attempt, right, but guarded very closely by Vassell. And the last 2-minute report confirmed that he didn't foul him. And but that was good defensive play and helped seal the game. Caruso could have made that shot without a contest. Spurs players Vassell, and Castle helped OKC. Their defense on the perimeter was amazing. That's one of the standout things from this game. OKC shot a season low 41% from the field and 24% from three-point range, largely because of Vassell and also Castle. And Vassell was scoring the heck out of the rock in the first half, kind of keeping the Spurs afloat a little bit when they were struggling without Wemby. So I give the game ball to Devin Vassell. And wow, we made it here under a minute. I like this clock. This is working out great. Okay, Dr. X, you are first up here. Put Dr. X back on the clock here. Was the Spurs Thunder game the best game of the year? Or is there another game that you can think of that trumps it as the best game of the year so far in the NBA?
I would say yes. To date, it had the most on the line. And so because of that reason, in addition to it being a good game, that was the best game of the year. However, yesterday's game against the Denver Nuggets versus the Houston Rockets was, to me, right up there. And they also went to overtime. And then also, I would say another one, at the same tier or even honorable mention would be the first game of the season, which was OKC versus Houston. So Houston has been, to me, in 2 of the best games so far, and they're not even full strength. I want to see Houston full strength, and it kind of sucks that they don't have a real point guard out there. But I would say, yeah, definitely at the Cup game, money on the line. They even won money at that game. So that was the best game of the year for me, was the Spurs versus OKC.
I love it. Şengün and Jokic last night each had triple doubles. I read online. Okay, so if it's wrong, blame the internet. But the internet told me that it's the first night, and it wasn't AI either. It was somebody on Twitter said that Jokic and Şengün, first time in the history of the NBA, the 2 centers had triple doubles against each other. Kind of hard to believe, honestly. But nevertheless, it was out there, and sure sounds good. And there's that hideous uniform. Please burn that thing. They should have already burned it in the 5 minutes since we talked about it. All right, let's go to Dwight Walton here. Dwight, was San Antonio and OKC the best game of the year so far? You are on the clock.
I'm just going to basically echo what my cousin just said. We could talk about the first game of the season between the Thunder and the Rockets that went to double overtime. We could talk about the game last night between the Nuggets and the Rockets that went to overtime. But because of the stakes that were at stake on Saturday night in the semifinal in Las Vegas, the game of the year for me was the Spurs and the Thunder. And the reality is Victor Wembanyama changed the entire dynamic of that game. And that's why I felt, along with my cousin, that the Spurs had a chance to win it. And just his presence alone turned that game into the game of the year for me. So, yes, those 3 games we could talk about, but the game of the year so far, Saturday night, the semifinal, Spurs, Thunder.
AM, was the game of the year so far Spurs and Thunder in the Cup on Saturday night in Vegas?
Nope. Let me take you back a couple of weeks ago. 134 to 133 was the final score, and that was not an overtime game. I am talking about the Denver Nuggets at the Atlanta Hawks, and I'm talking about the Nuggets after they got waxed in the first quarter, bringing you to the fourth quarter. They were down 23 points at one point in that game, ended up winning on the road 134 to 133. Yes, Jokic did his thing, but Jalen Johnson announced himself that night. 18 rebounds, 16 assists, and only 3 turnovers. That game was incredible. Comeback. Anything over a 20-point comeback, put a rubber stamp on it. And when you think about the Nuggets and their fortitude and where they want to be this year and how they're trying to compete with OKC, that was a statement game. That was saying something.
Great stuff, man. I really understand, guys, the what's at stake factor with the Saturday night game. I do, and it's huge. But I'm gonna just kind of focus on the game, okay? For me, Spurs and Thunder was the second best game of the year. Ring night for the champs, the first game of the entire season. OKC beat Houston 125 to 124 in double overtime. Best game of the year so far for me. I didn't want it to end. I mean, you had storylines. KD against his former team. And then you had just huge clutch plays. End of regulation, SGA hit that pull-up with 2 seconds left to tie the game. End of the first overtime, Şengün misses, hustles, gets a putback Jokic style to tie the game and send it to double OT. In double OT, minute left, SGA pull-up jumper to tie. The guy's so clutch, it's ridiculous. And in the closing seconds, you remember Kevin Durant fouled out. SGA kind of baited him and did the SGA thing, which I love, manufacturing foul shots and wins, okay? That is not criticizable unless you're – I'll just stop right there. I don't criticize him for it. I'm with Dwight. I give him credit for it. But, but SGA hit the game-winning free throws, and it went to double OT, ring night. And so it's a very, very close call, but that's my answer. I will go first on this one, guys. I'm by the way, are you liking the rapid fire? Are you guys liking the clock? I'm kind of digging this. How about our audience? You guys digging that? Tell us in the comments.
Absolutely. Yes.
Hey, Doc, look, it's Dante Culpepper around here, man. We're moving this thing. Dante Culpepper. I love Dante, man. All right, I'll go first on this one. Put me on the clock. Is Mitch Johnson the coach of the year right now? Mitch Johnson, head coach of the San Antonio Spurs. I say no, but he's really, really close. I'm watching Detroit beat Boston last night. I've watched a ton of Pistons ball this year. You know what? J.B. Bickerstaff's the dang coach of the year. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, actually. He shouldn't have won it last year. A lot of people think he should have, right? Kenny Atkinson, he won that what they go 15-0 to start the year. Boom, that award was already his. Love you, JB. I mean, I get it. Like Kenny Atkinson, they went 64 games or something like that. But this year's JB's year, okay? And the voters kind of sort of owe him a little bit. Mitch Johnson's number 2 for me. JJ Redick is number 3. I think JJ, while maybe a little bristly and a little rough around the edges, I think you guys understand what I'm trying to say here in a nice way. But I like that. That wins. It sets culture, okay? JJ Redick's 3. Darko Rajakovic for the Raptors, who are still top 4 in the East. He's 4. And Joe Mazzulla's 5. You know, I think Boston's 4 games over 500 without Tatum. They don't even really have a big man. It's pretty impressive what they're doing. So I say no. Mitch Johnson's 2 for me. JB Bickerstaff is number 1. All right. How far did I go over, by the way? I'm just curious. How far did I go
like
over?
a minute and 15 seconds.
Okay, so that is right up. I did push the envelope there. Sorry, guys.
You got the Grammy music.
That's why That's why we play the music, so you kind of know. All right, Dwight, Walton, is Mitch Johnson the coach of the year right now?
I'm going to go in a completely different direction, and I think the disrespect is real. This is the Phil Jackson syndrome. Just because you have the best team and arguably the best players, it doesn't mean you're not coaching them up. How could I not right now give the coach of the year to Oklahoma City Thunder's Mark Daniel? It is difficult to coach a group of players that won a championship just 7 months ago and to have them off to the start that they are right now. He is the culture builder. He is the one that inspires these players to improve. If you look to a man, each of those players have improved. So to me, Mark Daniel is the coach of the year. The record speaks for itself. He's the best coach in the best league in the world. Mark Daniel is my coach of the year right now so far.
AM Pfeffer, you're next, man. Is Mitch Johnson the coach of the year?
I'm not going there. You know, my heart actually says Ime Udoka because he kind of reminds me of like the years when Jerry Sloan should have just won coach of the year every single year for the Utah Jazz. I put Ime Udoka that high on the NBA spectrum. I think he is incredible. He's what he's getting out of Reed Shepherd, what he's doing with Amen Thompson, how he lost Fred VanVleet before the season even started, and how he puts himself in the position to win every year. And I just believe as long as he's the coach of the Houston Rockets, they're going to be a top 3-4 team in the West every year. That aside, I'm still not going to give it to him this year. To me, it's an easy answer right now, and that's JJ Redick. Look, the spotlight is on LA, my friends. Do you know how hard it is to deal with LeBron's potential last year? How long he's been out, that he's the gravity of that team. Then the Luka trade and to fit him in, to get what he's getting out of Reeves, to somehow get Rui and Ayton and everybody else to buy in, to get what he's getting out of LaRavia, to make them a top 4 team in the West. I mean, is there a bigger microscope on any team in the NBA? Not even close. Redick, you're my coach of the year so far.
Oh, you beat the buzzer too. That was nice, dude. That was nice,
nice.
AM. Way to go, man. Way to go. All right, Dr. X, you're up next here. And we've got a JB Bickerstaff, we've got a JJ Redick, and we've got a Mark Daigneault. Okay. Is Mitch Johnson the coach of the year? Or are you going off the board here?
It's not
Man,
Mike Brown, cuz. It's not Mike Brown.
Hey, I wasn't going there. So I love everybody's take, but I'm going to have to go with Steve Kerr. Let me stop.
You got jokes. You got jokes. I love it. Yes.
But honestly, I really do love everybody's takes. I like the JJ Redick take. I like the Mark Daigneault take. I love the who'd you have, Rick?
JB Bickerstaff.
Yeah, I like the J. That's nice. I agree with Dwight. I'm about to go with Mark Daigneault because it's really hard. You get that syndrome of just winning a championship. You kind of feel like you already made it. You don't train as hard. Everybody's coming for you every night. And it's not like if they had the number one record, but they had about 4 or 5 losses, then I would say, yeah, I wouldn't name them as number one. But to have be on pace to have a record breaking season in terms of wins without having J Dub there, I'm gonna have to go with OKC Thunder, Mark Daigneault.
Okay, so we got 2 Dags, and we have a B dot in the house right now as well. We've got a Canadian, we've got a rapper, we got an NBA impersonator, we got a chef, we got a family man. I always forget a couple things with the B dot. What's up? Oh, pro baller. I forgot pro hooper. I can't forget that, man. What's up, B dot?
Something like, not too much, man. No, I appreciate giving me my flowers, man. I appreciate you. Good to see you guys, man.
Good to see you too. So B-Dot, we got a new bit here where we're introducing a clock. Okay, and we're in the middle of the rapid fire round right now. So let's bring you right in. Is Mitch Johnson, San Antonio Spurs coach, the coach of the year right now? We've got 2 votes for Daigneault, and that was Dwight and Dr. X. I say JB Bickerstaff, and AM says JJ Redick. So is Mitch Johnson your coach of the year, or who you got?
JB Bickerstaff. Mitch Johnson doing a hell of a job, especially when Wemby's being out. I like how that team has come together, and when that team is together at full potential, they are very scary, as we've seen, them take down OKC. But it has to be JB. Is what he's done with that Detroit Pistons team to really only have, let's be honest, one up-and-coming superstar, if not, he's not a superstar already, and the emergence of Jalen Duran. I don't think anyone would have thought that. I mean, right now I'm taking Jalen Duran over to Evan Mobley. And that they just lost Malik Beasley, who was a 40+% three-point shooter. So, and for them to just be able to come together, he get those guys together, they look like it. Detroit basketball is back. So I'm going with JB, man. I don't think no one had him in the top 3 in the East. And they're sitting up there number 1. And Cade Cunningham is doing his thing, looking like a seasoned vet. So I'm going with JB. I understand the OKC take, but JB.
And again, a buzzer beater. Well done, B-Dot. You got that in perfectly in 1 minute. All right, let's move on here. In about 20 minutes, we'll have Brandon Scoopy Robinson, NBA insider, longtime buddy of mine. You guys are going to love Scoop. He's funny. He's got all kinds of analogies. I don't want to oversell it, but the guy's really good, and I can't wait. All right, rapid fire round continues. 60 seconds or less. Dr. X, you're up first here. All right. Let's talk Jalen Brunson for a minute. So he scores 40. They beat Orlando to make the Cup final, which of course is tonight. We're going to give you a prediction on that in just a second. Mike Brown went to bat for Jalen Brunson to win MVP after his 40-piece against Orlando. So Doc, you first here. Is Jalen Brunson getting enough MVP love?
Well, I think he just got the love that he needed. His head coach, Mike Brown, is on record saying that he should be considered or at least be in the conversation. And now that went viral and everybody's talking about it now. So I think he is getting the love. People are talking about it. I don't think he should be MVP, but I do think he should definitely be considered. And I like that his name is in the conversation. And I like that his head coach put his name in the hat. One thing I'm also glad about JB, I think at the beginning of the year, I was literally counting this guy's dribbles and how much time he holds the ball. He has decreased that by 1 second, which is close to like 1 minute and 30 seconds that his teammates have a chance to have the ball. The other thing is that he had 8 assists yesterday in the flow of the game. It wasn't like forced assists or assists, trying to get his assist numbers so people don't notice that he's shooting so much So I'm really happy that JB's done that, and I think he definitely should be in the conversation all year.
All right, great job again. Rapid fire round continues. We go to Dwight Walton here. Is Jalen Brunson getting enough MVP love, Dwight?
He plays in New York City, and as long as the Knicks are relevant and Jalen Brunson is the de facto best player on the New York Knicks, he will always be in the MVP conversation. And to my cousin's point, he's currently not the MVP, but as long as the Knicks continue to win, and as long as he impacts winning, I would like to see him. I'd like to see his assist numbers go up a bit more. I think he tries to score for himself first more often than not, than trying to get his teammates involved. I think he still needs to improve in that regard. But again, he plays in the largest market on a team that is relevant. And when the Knicks are relevant, the NBA overall is a better place. And Jalen Brunson, as long as the Knicks continue to win and be successful, his name will deservedly always be in the MVP conversation.
We're rolling, baby. Let's go back to B-Dot here. B-Dot, is Jalen Brunson getting enough MVP love?
I think he's getting exactly what he needs to be. If he get the Knicks up there, if they get to that number one spot and he continues to do what he's doing, and like Dwight said, dish it out a bit more, get them assist numbers up, because he does look to score for himself. Because honestly, he's really, if not one of the only people on the team that can really get his own buckets outside of Jordan Clarkson. Nothing against those guys, Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart and Karl Anthony Towns, but at a high efficient level, getting to that mid range, he's that one guy that can get a bucket to himself. But I love when he spreads the ball around. He's playing fantastic, averaging 29 on a year and about around 5-6 assists. But I think if he gets them up to number one, we got to throw him in that MVP conversation. As of now, he's smooth right now. He can be in the top 7, but in terms of love, I think the love is just right there enough. Like we got right here, we got the NY, love yours.
Yes, sir.
Bullseye. AFFers, is Jalen Brunson getting enough MVP love?
Look, first of all, B-Dot never not without the mouse ears now, and I love that just as much. He's getting my love. He's getting AM Pfeffer love. Is Jalen Brunson getting enough MVP love? Yeah, he's getting plenty of MVP love. Look, guys, it's SGA, it's Jokic, it's SGA. These guys are so far and above everybody else below them, it doesn't really matter. The rest of it is just conversation of the 8 guys who you like on that particular day or that particular week, and Jalen Brunson is one of them. He's certainly a top 10 player in the NBA. It's unquestionable that as a top 10 player, he's in the top 10 MVP conversation. Does he move up to number 4? Is he 7 this week? Is he 8? Is he 3? Okay, it's all good. Let's just have the conversation because he's worth talking about. Great job getting to the NBA Cup Finals. I can't wait to tune in. But it's SGA. It's Jokic. Everything else, it's just kibitzing.
It's a great point, man. It is Jokic and SGA at the top, and a line is drawn. So I'll answer now. Is Jalen Brunson getting enough MVP love? Doc, I love what you said about Mike Brown, and I'm not sure Brunson was getting enough MVP love before Mike Brown said that. And I think, and I'm guilty of this too. Last time I did my MVP top 5, I had Maxey at 5, not Brunson, and I've changed that. Because Brunson's stats are amazing. The Knicks record is amazing. They're only 2.5 games back at Detroit, who seemingly wins every game. So it's SGA, it's Jokic, it's Luka, it's Cade. For me, that's chalky as heck. There's no thought with that. Those puzzle pieces fit. Debate for 5. I got Brunson at 5 right now. I'm not sure what Brunson could do to rise on this list. I'm really not. Luka's at 35 a game. They win all the time. Cade's stats are unbelievable. They lead the conference. And then you got Jokic and SGA. So, how can Brunson be upwardly mobile on that? We will find out as the season unfolds. But let's move on here. And we were talking about player rivalries earlier. We have a family rivalry here on Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. It, of course, is cousins, Dr. X and Dwight. And since we're on the topic of Jalen, and me and B-Dot and AM, we can just kind of be on the sidelines and spectators here, all right? But the question is, because you guys were kind of going back and forth on our group chat, Doc and Dwight, about Brunson and does he help teammates enough? And So, so Dr. X, I'll give you the first swing on this because I know you guys disagree on Brunson's ability to create for his teammates and make his teammates better. So let's get into this. What's up?
Man, can we just put me and Dwight? I want to be able to see him really well. Just us two. I'm trying to be like Stephen A. No, put him up there. Put him up there.
Sorry, Doc.
Was that the referee? Nah, but honestly speaking, I don't remember us in the group chat beefing about that though. Dwight, do you remember that?
No, listen, I think what Rick is referring to is that I had a major issue with Brunson having 25 points in the first half, but only 1 assist. He did finish the game with 8, but my point is, for as great as Jalen Brunson is, I think our opinions get clouded when it comes to Jalen Brunson because he was a 2-time championship winner at Villanova. So we think because he's a winner, because he has championship DNA, we think he's a winning basketball player. And I'm not sitting here to dispute that he's not a winning basketball player. I just think he needs to do a better job of getting his teammates involved. I think if he did that and did a lot less dribbling, I think the Knicks would be better off defensively because it will balance the floor in transition. And I think it will force his teammates to want to play defense. I know Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby play defense currently, but I think if his teammates are touching the ball a lot more frequent, it would make them a better defensive team. So while Brunson is a great scorer, and I'm not telling him to not score the basketball, but do a lot less dribbling, involve your teammates more, and I think the Knicks will be even better than they currently are.
I think we're actually saying the same thing, Rick. I think because you remember in the beginning of the year, I was pissed off at how much he would dribble the piss out the basketball. He would literally just like be dribbling, just like searching, hunting for his shot. And I think they spoke to him about that because he literally has decreased his usage rate or how many times or the amount of seconds that he holds the ball from like 6.5 seconds to like 5.6 seconds. And that has made a big difference. He's more I would say he's more determined or he's more resolute with or more, I would say he's more decisive when it comes to moving the ball. And that's the offense of Mike Brown. So we got to give Mike Brown some credit. I don't think he should be coach of the year, but his system is forcing Brunson to do the things that we were saying were lacking and was actually a weakness of the Knicks because it's easy for people to key on them and say, okay, this is how we can defend them. You know, we just got to make sure Brunson is preoccupied, and when he gets the ball, he's over dribbling. We throw bodies at him last minute, right before the shot clock, and I believe that's going to be a weakness for the Knicks. But now the system the Knicks have in place has made them a stronger team, and I think Rick, to answer your question, the only way, yeah, can you guys put Rick up on the screen for me, please? but the only way I think Brunson can become MVP, he's got to move those assist numbers to double digits. He has to. If they get a player like a Giannis in there, he's got to average at least 10 assists a game. I'm sorry. He's got to push the system. He's got to push it and make it flow, make it pop.
If I may make one more point here, we could listen. I get comments all the time about how Trae Young on the Hawks is selfish, how he really doesn't make his teammates better. But Phil, you just hit on it at the end of your statement here. At the very least, Trae Young is at the top or in the top 3 assist makers every season while he's averaging 28 to 30 points per game. So if he's able to make his teammates better and score 30, that's why coming into this season, I'll be the first to admit, I was saying in my head, this is the best roster that Trae Young has had since being a Hawk. And if the Hawks were to play the Knicks in a 7-game series, I would favor the Hawks simply based on the fact that Trae Young is going to get double-digit assists while dropping 30 and being clutch at the end of games. That, to me, is the separating factor right now. I'm not sitting here and saying that Trae Young is better than Jalen Brunson, but I think Trae Young is better at making his teammates better currently than Jalen Brunson is. Doesn't have the same team, but I think is better at getting his teammates more involved.
Concur.
I like it, guys. I like it a lot. All right, so let's move on. We got Brandon Scoopy Robinson joining us in about 10 minutes. Let's get to let's not do the clock for this one. No clock for this one, guys. Who you got? You got Knicks or Spurs, baby? I'm gonna go first on this one. Knicks are favored by 2. I'm going with the Spurs. Dr. X, cover your ears, please. This will be the first of many trophies that Wemby wins in his career. Wemby wants it so badly, and I know my guy Brundog wants it too. Okay, like he's a killer too. He's a psychopath too. Wemby's just, I don't know. He wants it so badly. Nothing else matters to him. And Dr. X, this is for you. From Riot Comedy. One of the best games of the last decade in the NBA featured these teams in Wemby and Brunson. Let's go back to March of 2024. Brunson puts up 61 points, and Dwight had 6 assists with the 61 points. He was 25 of 48 from the field, okay, and fell just short of Carmelo's franchise record. Victor had 40 points, 20 rebounds, and 7 assists, okay? And that was back in March of 2024. I hope we get those explosive fireworks here tonight. So I, guys, I don't know who's going to win. I think it's an absolute coin flip. But I'm going to take the underdog. I'm going to take the 2 points here with the San Antonio Spurs and kind of ride the hot hand. I mean, they just beat OKC. And I'm not a prisoner of the moment, but I'm kind of riding that surfboard into tonight's Cup final. So I got the Spurs. Dr. X, I go to you next, man. Who you got, Spurs or Knicks? I think we kind of already know.
No, not really. So I'll say this. There's layers to this, and I'll be quick. So as a Knicks fan, obviously I'm going for the Knicks, and I want to see the Knicks win. But Knicks fans, sometimes we can go either way. Sometimes we try to be negative, and that's a way of feeling better just in case we catch the L. But if you look at the Christmas Day game, that was a very good indicator on how well the Spurs played the Knicks. We were struggling, I believe, to just even win that game. And if it weren't for Mikal Bridges' heroics, we wouldn't have won. I think Mikal Bridges had about 45 or 44 points, and he hit the buzzer beater. That's not going to happen every day for Mikal Bridges. He may have a solid game, may have like 16 to 22 points, hit a couple of mid-ranges, do a couple of breakout steals, layups, but he's not going to go for 44 again, especially after he did that on Christmas Day. And another thing is that how they defended Brunson. I don't know if you guys can look that up. It's probably last minute, but I wonder how much points Brunson did and how well he did against the Spurs. But they have so many bodies they can throw at him. And I don't even think they had Fox at the time. That's the other thing. I don't think Fox was there to so Brunson has to keep up with him. And a lot of the weakness of Brunson is defense. And De'Aaron Fox is constantly pushing the ball, and he's clutch himself. So I just think there's too many factors. Wemby already shrinks the floor. Cat had a lot of problems shooting over Wemby in the Christmas Day game, and he threw up a prayer and he hit that one. But I think he didn't even break 20 points in that game. So he had problems dealing with them. And so I just think the Knicks, they're going to need a big game from OG Anunoby, and they're going to be need a big game from Mikal Bridges. So the only thing that's really going to be the saving grace is going to be the minutes restriction. And I actually hate for that to come down to that. So the minutes restriction that Wemby may have, I think he was on 20 minutes. So if Wemby doesn't have a 20-minute game restriction, I think the Spurs will win this game. I think it's only because of the game restriction that Wemby's impact will be mitigated, why the Knicks could probably capitalize that and win this.
Understood. AM
So
Pepper, you are next.
Sorry. Just to be fair, I have the Knicks winning, but it's really because of the minutes restriction. I don't want to hedge. I don't want to hedge it that much. So the Knicks are winning.
Okay, I like it. I like it a lot. All right, AM Pepper, you're next, man. Knicks or Spurs?
I'm going Knicks, and there's a number of reasons why. Look, you've got 5 straight wins, winners of the 9 of the last 10. Okay, you're up to 8.8 in the differential between points per game and opponents' points per game. and that is sizable at this point. And Doc, I'm so glad you brought up the one guy who actually matters the most, and it's got nothing to do with last Christmas game. Mikal Bridges this year is all playing on a different level. I mentioned him in the last show, what his VROIP is at this point. Again, he's sandwiched between Luka and Giannis at this point in the season. He is so integral to this team. We could talk all we want about Brunson and Cat and OG and all these other guys, but his numbers across the board offensively are way up. His PER is way up. He's shooting over 40% from three right now, and his defensive prowess is that good. He's versatile, small forward, shooting guard, wherever you need him to be. The Knicks have enough pieces right now. They are in a great place. They're in one of the best places in the NBA, a top 5 team in the NBA right now. Mike Brown has him running right. Jalen Brunson is turning it on and off at the right times. He's starting to get his teammates involved correctly at the right times. No disrespect to the Spurs. Very exciting that Victor Wembanyama is back. This game is not at the Garden where he's in front of the crowd and he's trying to prove a different level. Obviously, it's in Vegas, and that's a whole different level, and it is a finals game. But when you put all that together and the excitement of where the Knicks are and who they want to be, they're just playing at a different level. I see them winning this game, and I do think that the 2-point spread is right. This isn't them running away. It could be a back-and-forth game, but Mikal Bridges, to me, puts them over the edge. I'm going Knicks.
8:30 Eastern on Prime tonight. The NBA Cup Final and B-Dot. You're next. Spurs or Knicks? Who you got?
I know AM said that, Wemby's not going to be in New York, with the big crowd, something to prove, but he is going to be somewhat near close to home, okay? I'm pretty sure Vegas has an Eiffel Tower out there, okay? And that's going to be just enough from Wemby to have some of that home cooking, okay? I got the Spurs, and the reason why is because I love Karl Anthony Towns, but I see him getting 3 fouls in this first quarter. I see him not it's something about Cat and that fouling that he cannot get over with. I feel like he's going to get in foul trouble, and Brunson's going to have a hell of an offensive performance along with Mikal Bridges and OG. But I don't know if that's going to be enough because I think Cat needs to have a really big game in order for the Spurs to win. I'm going with the Spurs, minute restriction and all. Them guys rolling, man. Castle, he has that confidence going. Harper coming off that bench, he's feeling good. De'Aaron Fox, he's finding his swag with the Spurs. Man, somebody we don't talk about a lot is Devin Vassell. I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but we know DV. He doing his thing. You got Keldon Johnson coming off that bench. Honestly, I didn't even know I knew this many Spurs players. So the fact that I know these many Spurs players is telling y'all something that these guys are doing something good, okay? And I love these young guys. They have enough bodies to run at Brunson, okay? Because you wear and tear Brunson down, it's going to get tough, all right? So I got the Spurs, man. I got the Spurs by 5. I got Wemby having a hell of a game. I got Stephen Castle having a hell of a game. I got De'Aaron Fox spreading the ball around like he needs to, hitting clutch shots, win. And Vassell, he'll match Mikal Bridges. Not saying they're on the same level, but I think he'll match Mikal Bridges in points-wise. And Mitchell Robinson, you going to put Mitchell Robinson on Wemby? Barbecue chicken. Because I know they're not putting Towns on Wemby. Because that's 4 fouls straight off the back. So Spurs and 5.
All right, Dwight Walton, we have 2 Knicks. We have 2 Spurs. We're 2-2, and you have the deciding vote. It's game 5. It's Dwight Walton time. Who you got, Knicks or Spurs?
Officials don't win games. Officials don't lose games. That being said, I think the officials will have a major impact on tonight's game and will dictate and determine the fate of the winner. What do I mean by that? Victor Wembanyama said it in his post-game presser. No, in the day off on Sunday in Las Vegas, in an interview to where he basically said that the Knicks are easier to guard than the Thunder and the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat and the Thunder are less conventional, while the Knicks are more conventional. The physicality of the game, going back to the officials. Mitchell Robinson on the offensive glass will have a major impact. I think the Knicks' physicality and their experience in big games will play a major part in what happens tonight in Las Vegas. Will the officials allow the rangier defenders, Dylan Harper, Stephen Castle, will they allow them to be physical on Jalen Brunson, who does a fantastic job of drawing fouls. To B-Dot's point, Cat, will he get in foul trouble trying to defend Victor Wembanyama if and when he's in the game? This game is going to be won in the trenches. Luke Cornett, Victor Wembanyama, they're in tough tonight against Mitchell Robinson because of his offensive rebounding prowess. I think the physicality of the game might be a little bit too much for the inexperienced Spurs. The Spurs are physical in their own right, particularly in the backcourt, but I just think the Knicks are playing at a championship level right now, and I think the physicality and the way the officials ref the game tonight might be a little too much for the Spurs. I would love to see the Spurs win, I'll be honest with that, but I just think the Knicks have something going right now, and they believe in their mind they're the underdog tonight. I think everybody is on the Spurs bandwagon because of what we saw on Saturday night in the semifinal, but I think the Knicks, their physicality and their experience in the playoffs will pay dividends tonight.
Excellent stuff, guys. We have 3 Knicks. We have 2 Spurs. We will have Brandon Scoopy Robinson on here momentarily. We will get his opinion on this game as well. And maybe it's 3-3. Maybe Scoop will say the New York Knicks. You are going to have to stay tuned and find out. So in the and we've got an XSN clinic. We have not forgotten that, talking about the Mahomes and the Micah Parsons injuries. We're going to get to that after the Brandon Robinson interview, which is coming up here very, very shortly. So in the meantime, guys, and I did notice that this kind of sent a charge through our group chat. NBA power rankings. So Jason and Kai, please get the clock back for us here. We return to rapid fire round mode, 60 seconds or less. And Dr. X, you are first here. Hit us with your power rankings, top 5.
Well, I'm gonna have to go 100% with OKC. I don't care about that last loss. And then my number 2 is a strong number 2. It's the Denver Nuggets. I think those 2 teams separate from everybody else. At number 3, I think I have the Knicks. If you guys could check the message really quick, I have the Knicks, but then I have the Spurs right behind them. I think those 2 teams are at the next tier. And then after those 2 teams, I have also have the Houston Rockets in that same tier. I think what the buzzkill for me for the Rockets was that they didn't have Fred VanVleet. They lost him for the season, and they don't really have a true point guard. And some of their players are still coming into their own. They're still young. And KD, although he has great percentages, the killer instinct doesn't seem to be there. I think yesterday he should have, did a little bit more, even though he played a great game and also played a great game defensively. So that's my 5.
Doc, I agree with that Durant take. We all love Kevin Durant, right? We're not banging on Durant over here. But like I've always said about him, Doc, he's a laid-back alpha. We talk about Wemby's a psychopath, right? Jalen Brunson's a killer, a psychopath, right? Kevin Durant's not a psychopath. He's not. He's freaking phenomenal. He's a top 20 player of all time, but he's not a psychopath. He's not at the Jordan level, the Kobe level of competitiveness. He would hate hearing me say this, but it's my opinion. And I've covered his entire career professionally. And again, nothing but love for Kevin Durant. I just wanted to co-sign that comment, which I thought was really, really astute, Doc. Sometimes there needs to be a little bit more assertiveness, right? And last night could have been one of those nights. Now it is a pretty decent debate. Who's the best player on the Rockets, right? Maybe we have that in another show. Is it Şengün or Durant? I mean, name-wise, resume-wise, duh. But, who's the better player in the NBA right now in mid-December of 2025? Just table that debate. I mean, we may get into that one down the line a little bit here. You can get the clock out. I was just kind of riffing there. All right, now let's bring the clock back for Dwight Walton. Dwight, hit us with your top 5 power rankings in the NBA.
OKC is the clear number 1 team in the association. A strong 2 for me are the Denver Nuggets, because we have to keep in mind they are playing extremely well, and they don't have Aaron Gordon nor Christian Brown currently. They're getting terrific play out of Spencer Jones. Jamal Murray has come into this season in the best shape that he has in several seasons, and as long as Murray plays at this level, the Nuggets are my strong number 2. The Rockets are doing a fantastic job of not having your traditional point guard. I think they're 3rd. I think the San Antonio Spurs are 4th, simply because of the presence of Victor Wembanyama. And the Los Angeles Lakers, the great job that J.J. Redick has done in putting this roster together and having them play well without LeBron James for the first 12 games, they come in at 5. I think Detroit and New York are on the outside looking in right now, currently. So all my top 5 teams come from the Western Conference.
Boy, they sure do. OKC, Denver, Houston, San Antonio, and the Los Angeles Lakers. B.Dot, AM, and I will chime in with our power rankings here in just a moment. But we have a very special guest. His name is Brandon Scoop B. Robinson, and we welcome him to Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. I've known Scoop for a long, long time, the insider of the Players Trust. And where is Scoop? Can we go wide? Can we go 6 shot? There's my guy. Oh, looking good. Scoop, I mean, I got the jacket on, but you got the tie, the vest. Looking good, my friend. How you doing?
Listen, I know I had to come correct if I was coming on with basketball royalty. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you, Scoop. I appreciate that. So let's introduce these people. Above you is Dwight Walton, Canadian basketball legend. He played in the Seoul Olympics in 1988, professional baller. Below me is Brandon Armstrong, a.k.a. B.Dot. I'm sure you know him from the NBA impersonations. He's absolutely hilarious. Lower left, we have the founder, the creator, the patriarch, the great Dr. X. He's a sports medicine radiologist, owns a team in the TBT, and I could go on for days about Dr. X. And upper left, we have A.M. Pfeffer. He's an anchor, he's an author, he's a businessman, and he's out in our LA studios. So, Scoop, meet the boys, man. What's up?
Welcome,
what's
Scoop.
up? It's good. Hey, man, what's going on?
All right, Scoop, so let's get into this, man. I'll ask the first question, and then we'll go around the room. So it's real simple, and I'll let you know, we actually just did this, making our picks for tonight's NBA Cup game, Knicks or Spurs. We have three of us said Knicks, 2 of us said Spurs. What says you, Knicks or Spurs tonight, Scoop?
The San Antonio Spurs are going to win tonight.
I like that. Straight to the point.
Didn't need 6 seconds, let alone 60. That was perfect.
Scoop. Hey, Scoop, in your pink tie, could you elaborate a little bit on that?
I just think they have more depth. I think from top to bottom. I spent some time with the Spurs actually last week, and they weren't at their full strength. And you're now have a team that's got Wemby back. You have any iteration of Dylan Harper, who has been healthy as of late. You have Stephon Castle. I just think they have more depth, but that's not to take anything away from the New York Knicks. I think the New York Knicks play a style of basketball that's very tough. I saw a quote today, and I'm paraphrasing. Wemby talked about how, you look at the Knicks, they're not, playing like Oklahoma. They're not playing like, some of the other teams, but what makes them great and competitive is how tough they play. I like the Spurs in this system, just from a height and from a depth perspective.
Excellent answer. So we have 3 Spurs, we have 3 Knicks, and we will see how it all plays out tonight. Dr. X, come on in here with a question for Scoop.
Scoop, I see you're an East Coast guy, so I'm glad to hear that. Newark, New Jersey. How old were you? Wait, did you see New Jersey Drive back in the day, or have you seen it since?
I've seen it. I was born in Newark, and I grew up between Essex County as well as in New York City. So I definitely had the best of both worlds in Harlem and in northern New Jersey and Essex County. But New Jersey Drive was cool. I saw it. I didn't see it to memory, but I saw it.
Got it. Yeah. Now I'm actually from Money Earned in Mount Vernon, and I'm also a big time Knicks fan from the Ewing days. But so who's your team? Seeing that you're an East Coast guy, are you a Knicks fan at all?
So I grew up around grassroots basketball in Harlem at Riverbank State Park. And I know Mount Vernon well. My uncle owned a house in Yonkers, and I was like his 3rd child, so I stayed there often.
Nice.
In Westchester, I know it very well. But growing up, I grew up a fan of the Chicago Bulls, actually. Legitimately spent time with the Bulls as a kid, starting young. And but the Knicks, I wasn't anti-Knicks because I was around grassroots basketball in New York, so I was around. Ewing and around Starks and some of those other guys. So yeah.
Yeah. I actually played at Riverbank State Park a couple times. 145th. That's the spot.
Yeah, we neighbors. Did you play at Citywide?
Yeah. No. I wasn't that locked in, but I was locked in enough.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Scoop, I got a question, man. First of all, I love the way you say Yonkers, man. You're bringing me back to my own Westchester days, so that's great. But just looking behind you on the wall, there's a couple things that jump out at me. A Carmelo Anthony jersey on the Nuggets, which I love, but number 11 on the Celtics on the wall. Like, I'm racking my brain for who that is. And before you tell me, I'm like thinking about it. I'm like, currently Peyton Pritchard, right? I think Pierce, before he switched to 34, was 11 for a little while. Kyrie Irving for a couple years when he was on the Celtics was number 11. Maybe Bob McAdoo for like a minute. Who is that? Whose jersey is that behind you?
That's a Kyrie Irving Celtics jersey that he actually signed for me when he was in Boston. I've covered Kyrie extensively since his second year in Cleveland, and our families have a lot of history dating back 20, 30 years. So that jersey in the back is signed, and then Carmelo Anthony signed that the Nuggets jersey as well for me. So things that mean something to me when I turn this home office into my oasis. I definitely put some thought and was intentional in how I spaced those things out. So yeah, that's Kyrie and the Celtics jersey in the back.
Beautiful, man. I love the book. It's very cool. Very cool.
Hey, Scoop, I got a question. This is Dwight Wall. Thanks for coming on the show, man. We appreciate it.
My brother. Of course. Thanks for having me.
The question, I'm going to get right to it. In terms of Giannis Antetokounmpo, I don't think the San Antonio Spurs and the New York Knicks are realistic destinations for his services. I don't think the Knicks want to go down the similar road that they did with Carmelo Anthony back in 2010. So my question to you is, what do you think is a realistic destination for Giannis Antetokounmpo? And do you think Antetokounmpo plays the rest of the season on the Milwaukee Bucks? I think he does. Again, I don't think the Spurs and the Knicks should get close to him. He is a great player. He is 31 years old now, and he is oft injured. So where do you think is a realistic destination for Giannis Antetokounmpo?
Well, first and foremost, I like your analysis for this reason. I know that when the San Antonio Spurs were meeting with their during their draft process, they assured Dylan Harper that they weren't going to trade the number 2 overall pick in June's draft to the Phoenix Suns for Kevin Durant because they wanted to build around not just Dylan, but around Wemby and build around Stephon Castle. And I think that in that same spirit, I think the Spurs are going to move prudently in that same way. I don't think you just toss away a bunch of rising, budding stars and a Steph Castle and a Dylan Harper and many others. I would imagine that you would include some of those like Vassell in order to make that trade happen. I don't see San Antonio doing it. And I think you're right about the New York Knicks. I don't think that the Knicks should repeat what happened with Carmelo Anthony. I actually had a conversation with Danilo Gallinari about that and how often he and those guys that were traded to Denver discussed what that team would have been had they stuck and not traded to get Carmelo Anthony. They could have waited into the offseason to get him, and he would have came. And so to directly answer your question, there are some teams that stand out to me. 2 teams in particular. Number one, around over the summer at Wemby, and there was a change in the guard as far as their front office. Their front office had a relationship with Wemby that goes back to the draft time, and I know that there were conversations internally with the Raptors organization. And the other team that stands out to me is the Brooklyn Nets.
Raptors and Nets. Wow. Good stuff, man. I don't know how realistic it is, but actually I want to bring B-Dot in here for a question and not anyway. B-Dot, come on in here, man. And ask a question for Brandon Scoopy Robinson, please.
How you doing, Scoop, man? I appreciate you joining the show. I love your first name. I'm a Brandon here myself, so your parents did a great job.
Brother, I want to tell you that I'm actually a fan of what you do. We've not met in person. Our degrees of separation are about like at a -1, but it's good to meet you in person or virtually as well, man. I respect your work.
Man, I appreciate you, man. Vice versa, man. I just wanted to ask you a question. I want, flex your insider knowledge, without putting your sources at risk. You've covered the league, up close for years now. What's the biggest misconception fans have right now about how the NBA decisions are actually made behind the scenes?
That the insiders have the final say, and when things don't go the way that they want them, they blame them because they don't know who those guys are on the inside. I'll use Kawhi Leonard as a perfect example of that. Are we allowed to curse on online? I won't if I can.
Yes. Yes, you are.
That motherfucker was supposed to go to the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there it is.
There it is.
You talking about Chris Paul? You talking about Chris Paul?
Kawhi Leonard was supposed to go. What'd you say?
You talking about Chris
Kawhi
Paul?
Leonard. Kawhi Leonard.
No.
Oh.
No.
Kawhi Leonard.
No.
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard was supposed to go to the Los Angeles Lakers, and had that Paul George deal that got Oklahoma City, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, not happen, Kawhi Leonard was a Laker. And you're kind of seeing how that all is playing out now. So, in answer to your question, the messenger is the messenger, the information is the information, and there were things that were happening behind the scenes. But in answer to your question, yeah, like at the end of the day, you know what you're told, and you know what you hear, and you report what you report. But I think a lot of times fans do personalize that, So I think in answer to your question, like I think the misconception is that the insider or the person who's giving the information holds the cards, and those transactions still have to take place.
Man, that's a great question and a great answer. So let me come in here with one, man. Scoop, I want to ask you about Kyrie Irving. Okay, obviously we go way back, so I know your connection with Kyrie. You just alluded to it earlier in this interview. Two-part question for you, Scoop. Two-part question. Will Kyrie play this season? Okay, and the second part of it, what is the level of interest in Kyrie going to the Minnesota Timberwolves in a trade? Because that came out a week or so ago that the Wolves have a high level of interest in trading for Kyrie Irving. But I see the Wolves connected to a lot of guys. And so is that just throwing something against the wall and hoping it sticks? Or could Kyrie make his way to play with Ant-Man up in Minnesota? Talk to me, Scoop.
Well, I was the person who put out that report about the Minnesota Timberwolves having interest in Kyrie Irving. What I can say to you is that from all indications and from folks that I've spoken with, Kyrie does like it in Dallas. He has enjoyed, his family and his kids and all of that good stuff. But the fact remains that the Dallas Mavericks, as currently constructed, are not a very good basketball team, whether that's injuries, whether that's just other factors. I think, there are teams that are paying attention to the assets that the Mavs have and the fact that they do want to build around Cooper Flag. In answer to your question about whether or not he will come back, I think that's contingent upon what Dallas does over the next couple of weeks, going to the next couple of months as it relates to the trading deadline. Do I think he'll come back? I think this is a kind of a similar situation to his first year in Brooklyn when he was waiting for Kevin Durant. The only difference is the Dallas Mavericks are not a championship potential-esque team right now. And there are teams that are out there. As far as your question about him coming back, I had a similar surgery. I actually tore my ACL as well as my meniscus, and I'm on the mend myself. And I'm halfway there. I don't play in the NBA, but I know what it takes to test the knee out and what it takes to figure out whether it's best for you to sit out versus continuing to play. And if I'm in Kyrie's situation, I'd sit out because what are you playing for? You're not even really playing for a playing berth right now. You're not in a position to be successful. I'd sit. Now, as it relates to the Minnesota Timberwolves specifically, there have been some names that have been tied to them. Ja Morant was another name that was tied, and from all indications, from sources that I've spoken with, tied to Ja Morant, it was told to me, and quote, that motherfucker loves Memphis. So I don't see him going anywhere. I know another name that has been floated around outside of Kyrie and outside of Ja Morant is one in the Chicago Bulls is Kobe White, who I think would fit like a glove in Minnesota. But the thing is, Minnesota, in order to make a move like that, you'd have to give up some valuable assets, Naz Reid, as well as Julius Randle. And I think those are two attractive names with skill sets. I think the problem with the Minnesota Timberwolves is that they actually do have a star guard, but they don't play him much. And Robert Dillingham, it's just they want more of a name from everything that I've spoken with, and a guy that can be a court general. From folks that I've spoken with who are in the know in Minnesota, if Kyrie, for example, were to come to Minnesota, I'm told that Anthony Edwards would love it, but Minnesota would have to make a deal to make that happen. And I know that going to Minnesota for certain people, and Cameron, I know that's your territory. It's always been kind of like this. Do I want to be in the cold? I've heard that from anyone from the Marburys to the Terrell Brandons to everybody. But you find a way to make it work.
Hey, Scoop. This is the only the ice tray thing. I just want to do this down here in Florida. I don't want to actually go up north where it's cold, where you actually have to do this, right? Start rubbing your arms like Trae Young does. Scoop, I got one more for you, and then we'll go around the room and see if anybody else has one more for you. Is this LeBron James' last season?
That's difficult to answer. I spoke with LeBron's agent, Rich Paul, about a week ago, and one of the things that we both touched and agreed on is the notion that he's actually enjoying playing in Los Angeles, kind of like in this Professor Xavier role where you can guide some of the other guys in the Mutant Academy and still be the OG on that team. And it's interesting because when you looked at LeBron and what he was doing when he passed that ball to Rui Hachimura a couple of weeks ago, and they won the game against Toronto, when he was in Miami, he was ostracized for the same thing. Now he's praised for being a good teammate, but before he's not Michael Jordan. Michael would never. LeBron has not made a decision on his next steps, and I believe him. But I do think that he is waiting to see how the Lakers end up this season, and then he'll make his next decision. And there are teams who have been hoping for the opportunity for LeBron to come there if he decides to extend and doesn't return to the Lakers, and namely Cleveland and as well as the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah.
Excellent. Anybody? Yeah, just jump right in if you got one more question for Scoop. Go ahead, Dwight.
I got a question, Scoop. We've touched on Giannis Antetokounmpo. We've touched on John Morant. I want to go back to Rick and his ice tray gesture. I know the Hawks are hovering around 500 right now, but with the recent tear that Jalen Johnson is currently on, he has, I think, 4 or 5 triple-doubles this season, 8 for his career. The perception that the Hawks are a better defensive team overall without Trae Young. Do you see a path to where Trae Young comes back and plays with this Hawks roster, what I feel is the best roster that's been assembled around him since he's been Atlanta Hawk? Do they see how he plays with this group, or is there a trade scenario out there that you see where the Hawks make the decision to basically build around Jalen Johnson and build a roster that is more suited for today's NBA? They have one right now, but I think Trae Young, his size and his lack of efficiency on the defensive end, is the front office thinking in terms of building around Jalen Johnson for the future and exploring any Trae Young trade markets?
Well, in the conversations that I've had with people who are familiar with Trae Young's thinking, he loves Atlanta and he doesn't want to leave. I do hear Atlanta's name quite a bit in Giannis Antetokounmpo conversations. And what I find interesting is that, you heard Rich Paul on his podcast the other day talk about how Jalen Johnson would be a perfect fit in any type of conversation with Giannis and the Hawks and the Bucks. And I'm not stirring the pot when I say this, but you look at that Atlanta Hawks bench and you look at Kristaps Porzingis, who has been in and out of the lineup quite a bit. You wonder, is Giannis in an Atlanta Hawks uniform everything that we thought Kristaps Porzingis would be, both defensively and playing along such a viable point guard in Trae Young? I think that's interesting. I find it interesting that Johnson is playing great basketball right now, because I think that would be an excellent trade piece if the Hawks were to entertain conversations with the Milwaukee Bucks. a Trae Young and Giannis Antetokounmpo pairing in Atlanta would be dope. But every indication that I've gotten is that when Young comes back, it's going to be business as usual. I haven't heard anything to suggest that he is on his way out. But this is what I'll add. I'll add that when I look at when I look at the Minnesota Timberwolves, I also think that if you're talking about Kyrie, if you're talking about John Moran, you're talking about some of those other names, Trae Young is actually the guy that would play well alongside an Anthony Edwards. And to go along with your thinking, that's the guy, if not Kobe White, if not Kyrie Irving, if not John Morant, that would fit well in Minnesota.
I just think that it's funny you said that the Toronto and Brooklyn are the realistic destinations for Giannis Antetokounmpo. The two teams I had in mind were the Hawks and the Miami Heat. That's where I think those, to me, are more realistic destinations for Antetokounmpo than every other scenario that I've heard so far.
My conversations and my reporting has been ongoing, I want to say since probably April or May of this year. And in my findings back in the spring, I was told that, there would be potential resistance with Giannis wanting to go to the Miami Heat. And then you saw a report that my colleague Chris Haynes had where he suggested that, any indication of where Giannis would go, it would be somewhere sunny and somewhere on the East Coast. Well, Miami is both sunny and it is on the East Coast. My sources were telling me that there was a level of apprehension of playing alongside or playing for Pat Riley, who was very stringent in his approach. And, you saw Jimmy Butler's exit from Miami, which was probably an extreme case. LeBron's exit from Miami, which was more, he just wanted to go back to Cleveland. But Giannis in Miami, I think, would be a fit. I think both he and Bam Adebayo would benefit well playing alongside each other. But at what cost? What do you give up to bring in someone of Giannis's caliber? It's not like we're selling you a bag of chicken with some chitlins on the side. Like this is a main course meal. This is prime rib. You trade for prime rib assets in return.
I like that you said that.
Scoop, I got a question, if I may. Look, you're obviously a Chicago Bulls fan. You said it, and much to Doc X's chagrin, I'm going to bring this up again. To me, I still think there's a little bit of an inkling to discuss when push comes to shove that Giannis ends up on the Bulls. There's too much on both sides of the fence, especially on the Bucks. And I talked about the Bucks last time as they are bereft of draft picks. They got a lot back. Now, to me, it's like, okay, a centerpiece of Kobe White, who only makes a couple million, $12 million, especially over the next 3 years. Yeah, you got to get a lot of other pieces included to make the numbers match up, who ultimately Milwaukee's going to want to get off on afterwards. But you're talking about this year's Chicago Bulls pick plus Portland's pick that they have, although it's top 3 protected for the next 3 years. And then obviously you're going to stretch out probably 4 or 5 of the picks. To me, the Bucks need picks. And if I'm Giannis's people, I would think about going down the road into Chicago and play with those 3 or 4 exceptional players. I think he would fit in right there. They have all the money in the world. They're only paying Giddey $25 million. He's their top paid player for the next 4 years. They can stretch out Giannis and get him the next 3 or 4 year contract that he's looking for, and then they could bring in pieces around him because they still have that money. Do you see? Pour cold water on this for Doc X so he never has to hear from me again on this. To me, when push comes to shove, I think there's going to be something to be said about Giannis and Chicago unless you say otherwise. Let's hear it.
I mean, it's been talked about. You've heard Anthony Davis's name. You've heard Giannis's name quite a bit. There's a familiarity in the Midwest there. But like you said, it's going to come down to picks. These days, it's all about picks. We've seen that over the last few years. You've seen people be wise with picks. You've seen people be not so wise, and you've also heard people say the jury is out. You look at the Brooklyn Nets, the jury's still out on how, 5 picks that the Nets had in this past year's draft? It was 5, right?
Yeah. It was 5.
Yeah.
Right. So I think picks is something that teams want to invest in the future. Look at how Oklahoma remade their whole team with picks and with an attractive piece in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and they're an NBA champion now. In answer to your question about the Bulls, sure, Giannis would look good in a Bulls uniform. I'd like to see him playing alongside Josh Giddey and Buzelis. And it seems like Chicago is not really looking. They are building around homegrown guys, not just Buzelis, but other guys on that roster. But it's just a matter of fit and comfortability. If you're Giannis, I think this is kind of a problem that I think LeBron had when he played for the Cavs and he ultimately went to Miami. And I think it's a problem that both Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving had when they didn't join the Knicks and they joined the Nets. I think a lot of times you're chasing the shadow of Michael Jordan in Chicago when guys are considering that as a home market. And I think Giannis is his own man, and I think his decisions are his decisions. But Chicago would, from a basketball standpoint, would make sense. From a wanting to go there, if he told Milwaukee that he wanted to go to Chicago, I think they try to find a way to make it happen. But on record, he's not publicly or privately requested a trade yet. So Chicago would look good on paper. I think Toronto would look good on paper. I think Brooklyn, if they're looking to bring him in, would have to do a lot to want him to come over there. I think San Antonio, he would look good on paper, but I don't see San Antonio going after that. I think it's going to come down to what Giannis wants and what he requests. And if Milwaukee guarantees or acknowledges that and goes after to kind of accommodate him.
Scoop,
real quick, Rick.
Yeah.
Just real quick. So just to piggyback off of that. So can you clarify if that's a real request that Giannis, because I know he said New York, but I know my cousin tries to throw shade on me and say, we're in New York, Brooklyn or New York or the Knicks. So is it true that Giannis requested only the Knicks?
From my understanding, the conversations lied on a couple of things. One, an East Coast city. Two, a place where he can be built around other guys and he can have say and he can have creative control. I'll tell you that players do watch how other things play out with other stars on other teams. And I feel like it's interesting because when you look at Brooklyn, the way that James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant panned out, players talk. And it's interesting because when I look at the Nets, I feel like the Nets became what the Knicks used to be. The Knicks used to be a place where guys didn't want to play, and then it became a destination where guys want to go. So when you look in answer to your question, I haven't heard specifically he wants to go to Brooklyn. I know that's been chatter amongst my colleagues, and there are guys who put out reports. Brian Lewis of the New York Post, who said that Giannis wants to come to the Brooklyn Nets. But I have heard from people that know that Toronto was a team that was discussed specifically. As far as the Knicks goes, the one thing that I can say from folks that I've spoken with around the league is that Milwaukee has had a conversation about Karl Towns, and there's a belief that Karl Towns wants his own team. He's playing well in the system with the Knicks, but there's a belief on the Milwaukee side that if Karl Towns came over there, that they could pair him with Miles Turner, and that both he and Turner could be a 1-2 threat in the post going against other Eastern Conference teams.
Nice.
Wow. Great questions, guys. Great answers. Brandon, before we let you go, man, I want to give you this opportunity to promote shows, upcoming gigs, like whatever you want. Tell the people about Scoop B Radio, man.
Scoop B Radio was something that both me and my business partner developed almost 10 years ago. We'll be celebrating Scoop B Radio's 10-year anniversary next year. We've had anybody from DJ Khaled to Mark Cuban to Susan Bennett, the former voice of Siri, to Shaq, to 1,000,002 people across the world, and not just basketball, but entertainment, music, and lifestyle. Too Short has been on there. The rapper Jim Jones has been on there. A lot of people have been on there. Make sure to subscribe to Scoop B Radio on all streaming platforms. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to Scoop B TV on YouTube. Tomorrow we'll be dropping an interview with Showtime Lakers legend Byron Scott over at Scoop B Radio. He says some juicy things, so be prepared for watching that. And most importantly, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Scoop B. You can find everything that's going on in the world of Scoop B Radio.
Nice.
Scoop B, you're my guy. Love you, man. Thank you so much for joining us and coming over here on Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. We really appreciate it, man. Awesome info, and happy holidays to you and your family, Scoop.
Happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, happy Merry Christmas, all the holidays. Happy holidays, happy Festivus to everybody.
Thank you.
Festivus.
Appreciate it, man.
Nice. Yeah, we appreciate you, Scoop. You well, man.
Thank you. You too.
Brandon Scoop B. Robinson. Ooh, that was good. All right, one of the best in the biz, and that was a lot of fun. All right, guys, let's get back into our power rankings here. Let me get everybody back caught up here. All right, Dr. X went with OKC, Denver. We're just doing a top 5 here. OKC, Denver, New York, San Antonio, and Houston. That's Dr. X. Dwight went OKC, Denver, Houston, San Antonio, and the Lakers. AM Pfeffer, you are up next here. Your top 5 power rankings. And guys, we are back to rapid fire round mode, 60 seconds or less. Let's go.
You're on mute.
As of today, I'm on mute. Oh, okay. These are the power rankings. These are the power rankings as of today. Okay, that like we're not talking about through necessarily the rest of the season. This is always fluid. So where we are 25% through the season, it's pretty simple to me. It's all about point differential, right? It's just OKC, it's the Nuggets, it's the Houston Rockets, it's the New York Knicks, and then it's the Detroit Pistons. And that's it. And that's the order of point differential, including the Houston Rockets, who have actually played 2 less games than the LA Lakers and the San Antonio Spurs as they sit in 5th place in their opportunity to jump up to 3rd. So to me, and look, the Western Conference obviously that much better. When you talk about the Knicks, yeah, they're on a heater. And when you talk about the Detroit Pistons, let's give them their due. They're 21-5. And some of these games, what they haven't done yet is play the Western Conference really and shown the prowess to go toe-to-toe with some of the big boys on that side of the fence. But on the East, they're taking care of business, man, including a big win at Boston on the road.
Great job, AM. Who was your number 5 team?
That was the Detroit Pistons. Yeah.
Detroit. Okay, so you had OKC, Denver, Houston, New York, and Detroit.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I'm kind of keeping track of this, and I'm gonna kind of try to aggregate it at the very end for our audience to kind of get the show power rankings as well. B-Doc, give us your top 5 power rankings.
Number 1, I have OKC, just like everybody else. But that's a gimme. Denver Nuggets. Clearly, I think those 2 teams are, like you guys said, the top 2 that separated themselves from each other. And number 3, I like the Detroit Pistons. I know they haven't played against that powerhouse of the West, but we got to give credit where credit is due. They're holding their when you're giving this, if the homework's easy or if it's not easy, if you get it done, you get A's on it, you're going to get credit for it. And they handle their business over in the East. So I got them at number 3. You know, I love what they're doing, and I love what K's doing. And number 4, I got New York Knicks. And then number 5, I got the San Antonio Spurs. I love the Houston Rockets and everything they got going. But, you know, these are just my power rankings as of now. You know, the Rockets are right there at a close 6, if not 5B. But, you know, that's my power rankings as of now.
I love it. So you got OKC, Denver, Detroit, New York, and San Antonio. That's correct, right?
Yeah, gotta give my East Coast some love, man. Gotta give it to them.
I have
my fantasy team. So I'm even though I got them losing tonight, I'm hoping Brunson goes for 50 and 12 assists. It's gonna look good.
Dude, you're right. Brunson's going off tonight. Dude, he shredded Anthony Black, Jalen Suggs, okay, like some of the best defensive guards in the league play for the Orlando Magic, and he went like with a machete, like he's bushwhacking with a machete. It was crazy. All right, my top 5 power rankings, guys. Number 1, OKC. Number 2, San Antonio. I'm a little Wemby'd out right now. I'm on a Wemby thing right now.
You're zagging.
I'm zagging. I'm zagging. 3, I've got Denver. So, I mean, I'm not like dissing them. 4, I've got Detroit. 5, I've got New York. And a little bit of the rationale here OKC's OKC, right? Spurs, they beat the champs. All right. Denver has not played them yet. The Spurs beat Denver earlier this year. That's why I have San Antonio ahead of Denver. 139-136 was that final. Denver's Denver. Detroit, they haven't played the Knicks yet. The Knicks are making the finals, in my opinion, but the Pistons have a 2.5-game lead over the Knicks. So that's why I have Detroit at 4, and I have New York at number 5. So OKC was first on all of our lists. Denver was second on everybody's list but mine. I've got them third. Houston was on Doc, Dwight, and AM's list, not for me and B-Dot. To give you a little summary here, B-Dot and I and AM have Detroit. Dwight and Doc did not have Detroit on theirs. Dwight went all West. He does not have one Eastern Conference team in his top 5. So OKC gets a big win here. I feel like Detroit's getting a little bit of a win. New York very well represented here as well. And it's interesting with San Antonio. We're kind of all over the place with the Spurs. Doc and Dwight have them at 4. AM did not have them in his top 5. Dodd has them at 5, and I've got them at 2. All right. And tonight we'll even crystallize it a little bit more here with the result, of course, with the San Antonio Spurs and New York Knicks. All right, Dr. X, it is time. The XSN Clinic. Dr. X is a sports medicine radiologist, the best in America. And we've got 2 major injuries here, Doc. Patrick Mahomes and Micah Parsons, 2 of the best players in football, tore their ACLs. Mahomes already had surgery yesterday in Dallas. It was a torn left ACL and torn LCL as well. He's going to begin his rehab immediately. He's going to miss the offseason program. And this next season starts on September 10th, Doc. Okay, September 10th. We're at December 16th. So what is that? It's almost like 10 months, right? And then for Parsons, Doc, had an MRI yesterday. It did reveal the torn ACL in his left knee. We don't know when he's going to have the surgery yet, but his knee buckled. It was a non-contact thing. The Packers, according to ESPN, typically hold out players for 10 months following ACL. Boy, is that specific reporting. Christian Watson returned off a torn ACL this year to game action after 294 days away. So that's about 10 months. And the question I have for you is just your thoughts on the injury, the level of concern, and then where my head is at, Doc. Could they start next season on time, or do you not think that's realistic?
Yeah, I don't think it's realistic to say that they'll start the season on time, which would technically be September. I think ultimately it's unfortunate, and I think you said Mahomes has a compound injury where he has an MCL rupture as well. Did you say that, Rick?
The LCL.
LCL.
LCL. Okay, so usually it's the MCL and the medial meniscus and the ACL, which make up the unhappy triad when you get this rupture. So that could complicate things a little bit for Patrick Mahomes. So I definitely don't think he'll be back on time. If Micah Parsons is just a clean ACL tear, then I really think that he will be back at the 10-month as well. I don't think he's going to beat the schedule ahead of time either. And I just don't think they'll rush him back, given that they have such a good defense already as it is. So it's unfortunate. These are 2 stars. It was really insult to injury for the Patrick Mahomes injury because I don't think they were going to make the playoffs. And then it was unfortunate because it looks like, Green Bay is on pace to potentially could go to the Super Bowl and win it all. And this weakens their defense, which is already strong.
Great breakdown, man. Great breakdown. Yeah, I want them to be ready for next year, but we're rocking with you, Doc, and the time. I think the good news though is, and Doc, one more follow up with you here. I feel good that Mahomes and Parsons are going to play the majority of next season. Am I wrong about that? Right? Maybe they missed the first month, but I don't see this as a 12 or 13 month recovery for these guys. I'm not a doctor, obviously, and I could be wrong, but I don't know. It's football, and in football, not that they're going to irresponsibly rush anybody back, but in football, it's super hyper competitive, and these guys want to play, and a lot of players just put pressure on themselves to rush back. So do you think it's realistic that Parsons and Mahomes play most of next year?
I think it is realistic, and I think the most unfortunate part, as I said before, is really just the fact that Micah Parsons had the ACL. Of course, we don't want any of them to get the ACL, but Mahomes will be back when it counts most for next season. This season was already over for Patrick Mahomes. But yeah, Micah Parsons, that's a little disappointing with all the stuff he dealt with the trade and the Dallas Cowboys and the holdout with the contract. So, he was hitting his stride. He was in a good rhythm, and it just seemed like it was a nice ending to the story or the narrative that was before the Cowboys narrative. And so it was kind of unfortunate that he won't be able to play out this season. But yeah, he'll be able to play most of next season or at least come at a critical time, and hopefully his teammates hold it down for him so they're in playoff contention. And I think that would be great for Micah Parsons. But yeah, that I hated hearing that news and seeing it ultimately. It was tough to watch.
Very tough to watch. Non-contact, as you can see right here, and just kind of got angled wrong, and it's just weird and very unfortunate. And we send out love to Mahomes and Parsons in their recoveries. All right, let's get back into rapid fire mode here and get as many of these topics in as we can before the end of the show. And so we're going to stay here with Mahomes and Parsons. A couple things to talk about here. Is the Chiefs dynasty over? That is the question. We're going to go around the room. I'm going to go first, guys. Put me on the clock. ML Football on X said, rest in peace to the Kansas City Chiefs dynasty. And they put all these stats, 2018 to 2025, 7 straight AFC championship games, 5 Super Bowl appearances, 3 Super Bowl wins, blah, 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 blah. Okay, not so fast, my friends, as the great Lee Corso would say. No, this dynasty is not over. The Warriors dynasty did not end when Curry and Clay were hurt. They missed that season. Then they drafted Wiseman. They came back and won another one, okay? The Patriots dynasty did not end when Tom Brady tore his ACL after 3 rings. He came back and won 4 more, okay? The Chiefs are not done winning rings. Next year might be tough, depending on when Mahomes can return and the cast around him, but I feel very, very safe and secure saying that Mahomes will add rings to his collection and build on this dynasty. So let's go to AM Pfeffer here. Is the Chiefs dynasty over, AM?
Oh, yeah, it's over. Yeah, no, Kelce's gone. He was such an integral part of what this was. And by the way, it's not a terrible thing that it's necessarily, quote unquote, over. It's fine. I mean, they had such a run over the last 7 to 9 years, obviously, including the fact that, to me, Patrick Mahomes is already on the Mount Rushmore. If you're going to include Montana, Brady, and Peyton. And then obviously I put Mahomes next to him in such a short career. He's going to come back, whether that's next year or the following year. But his numbers were already down in the deep ball stuff. The Chiefs were so reliant on Kelce through all of this dynasty. And to me, this really just comes back to Andy Reid. He's 68 years old at this point. Well, yeah, the history of coaches after that number and their winning percentage and their time sticking in the league ain't great. And if it all ends here, what a run, what a ride. I think the Chiefs will be good moving forward again, but I do think the dynasty is over.
Understood, AM. So I say it's still alive. AM says it's over. Let's go to Dwight Walton. Is the Chiefs dynasty over?
It's a tough one because for as long as Patrick Mahomes is healthy, upright, he'll be in the GOAT conversation amongst quarterbacks. I think the front office of the Chiefs has to revamp the offensive line. Do the Chiefs believe in Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco as their running backs moving forward? I think they need to improve there as well. I think you saw Patrick Mahomes running for his life most of this season, most of the last couple of seasons, if you want to keep it real. And they need a consistent deep threat. I think Travis Kelce will move on. You improve, you get younger and more athletic at that position. But I think the Chiefs will retool around Patrick Mahomes. They see the landscape of the NFL changing. They got to get younger and athletic, more athletic. Their defense is good, but improve the parts that protect Holmes from himself. I think the Chiefs will be just fine.
Okay, so you're saying the dynasty is still alive. I am as well.
Yes.
And I'm also hearing that you and AM think that Travis Kelce's done ski after this year. I want to weigh in on that in a minute. Let's go to B-Dot here. B-Dot, is the Chiefs dynasty over?
Dynasty, I feel as though I think their success is still there as long as they have Patrick Mahomes. They need to get a running back, and they need to get a legitimate deep threat. Running back for sure. Their running backs have been terrible. I'm sorry. I got Isaiah Pacheco on my fantasy team, and I'm putting up more numbers than him. And Kareem Hunt he need to go hunting somewhere else. So in terms of that, I think if they find these pieces, piece up their offensive line, I think Pat Mahomes has another couple of long deep playoff runs. It'd be helter skelter if he wins another ring. I think it'd be some type of Steph Curry ring. You feel me? To be one of those type of rings. If he does, everything has to fall right in place. But in terms of the dynasty, yeah, we can go ahead and stick a fork in it. But I still think success is on an up and coming for them. But multiple Super Bowls and winning as much as they have in the past, nah.
That's a nah from B. Dot. All right, Dr. X, is the Chiefs dynasty over?
Well, I think the bigger question here is, will Patrick Mahomes be the same player or better? And the answer to that is yes, he'll be the same player and or better. And I like that your example that you gave of Tom Brady with the similar and actually the same injury, with the same ACL rupture, and he was able to win 4 more rings. So it's really what Dwight was saying is, are they going to surround them with the proper talent, and what everybody else is saying as well. He needs a running back. He needs a better, healthier, more athletic, tight end. And lastly, the front, you need a front line who's really going to be protecting him. And so ultimately, they have the rest of this year to figure that out into next season. And hopefully they do that. And if they do, I think Patrick Mahomes is a generational talent. And as long as you have him, you will be a dynasty.
Bingo. All right. And then let's transition here to Travis Kelce. AM and Dwight said that they think he's moving on, and I presume that's into retirement. So the question is here, and again, rapid fire style, 60 seconds or less. Will Travis Kelce retire? I say no. I don't think Kelce wants to go out like this with no competitiveness, no what's at stake at all. Also, Mahomes is not going to miss all of next season. We've already talked about that. Might miss the first month or so. They can still make a ring run next year, okay? It's a little bit far-fetched, but it's possible. Chiefs GM Brett Veach is one of the best in the biz. They're going to have answers this offseason. I agree with you guys 1,000,000%. They got to get it back in the first round of this draft. Kelce looks washed, but he really isn't, guys. Okay, in 14 games this year, he's had 67 catches, 797 yards, and 5 touchdowns. 3 games left. He's going to approach 1,000 yards. Okay, he's not cooked. He's not washed like Klay Thompson. He's not. Sorry, Klay, you caught a stray right there. But I don't think Kelce's retiring. I think he'll be back for at least 1 more year. Dr. X, do you think Kelce's retiring?
No, I don't think so. It would make sense, and for the Chief haters out there, I'm not one of them, but I'm also not a fan. But I like, to your point, his stats have been great. He's either been top 5, definitely top 10 for all those categories you named. And so why would he retire? I think this is also a buzzkill way to retire. He didn't retire last year because of how they got pretty much stomped out by the Eagles. And so I think he didn't want to leave like that either. And he's about to get married to Taylor Swift. And so I think let's see how post-marriage Travis Kelce does on this new look Kansas City Chiefs, who I think are going to run it back and are going to be stronger and better. And then I think he wants to give his boy a chance to make a really good comeback and be on the side of winning again.
Love that answer. B-Dot, you get the last word on this, man. Does Travis Kelce retire? Is this it, or is he coming back next year?
No, he's definitely coming back next year. He has to come back for at least 1 or 2, 3 more years. You definitely don't want to go out and end your illustrious NFL career known as Taylor Swift's husband. And that's what it's been. The last past 2-3 years. It's Travis Kelce. You can't mention Travis without Taylor. So I feel as though that he wants to come back and prove to everyone that, hey, I'm still, if not the greatest tight end to ever play this game. Okay, and I feel as though he needs to roll back the full beard with the mustache. He went straight mustache mode, and it really deteriorated his game. It's kind of similar to the Jalen Brown Beijing debacle. Once he figured it out, 30 points a game. So I think Travis is going to come back for a couple more seasons just to prove that he's more than just a Taylor Swiftie. He is Travis Kelce.
Love it.
Okay, that's the highlight of the whole show right there. Clip that, send it out. It's going viral, all that kind of stuff. Dude, that was amazing. That was absolutely amazing. All right, it is time, ladies and gentlemen, for AM's Money Matters on Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. AM, this bit is a huge hit. We all love it. Hit us this week, man.
Appreciate that, Rick. Let's get to it. The real question we want to know, will private equity ruin sports? Let's get to it, man. Moving on. My friends, the Barbarians are at the gate. What am I talking about? Let's take you back 32 years to one of the greatest movies ever made, an HBO original. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's all about KKR's leverage buyout of Nabisco. And if that sounds boring, it ain't. James Garner, Peter Riegert, and Jonathan Pryce, and a whole slew of other great names in that movie. Watch it. You'll understand a lot. But this brings us to where we are right now. The Barbarians are not only at the gate, they're in the door thanks to the University of Utah. They have let them in. They have rubber stamped $500 million coming their way. And as of yet, the Big Ten hasn't done the same. We're talking about an entire conference with $2.4 billion on the table, but the PE is knocking on their door as well. And it's important to understand as we talk about this, as we dive deep, private equity does not stick around, my friends. They are not there for the long-term investment. They want to sell. So we're asking that question today, especially in college sports. Is private equity here for the fix or the flip? And more than likely, they're here for the flip. Moving on. So let's break them down a little bit. Utah, what are they getting out of this? Okay, so you've got Ocho Capital bringing in $500 million. This is licensing, hospitality, revenue opportunities. This is huge that they're letting them in the door and allowing them to change the face of what goes on behind in that organization. And as far as the Big Ten is concerned, literally an entire conference waiting to see if Michigan and USC will say yes to this and allow $2.4 billion to come into their orbit for 10% ownership of media rights. Why is Michigan and USC? What is the big reason they're not yet saying yes to this? It's interesting. It's actually because they want an out. They want to know that they're not locked into the conference if they ultimately want to get out. That's how much is changing in the face of NCAA football. Can you imagine the Big Ten Conference without Michigan? But that's actually what's at stake here, and it's all because of private equity. Moving on. Let's deep dive a little bit more, okay, into private equity. What are we talking about here exactly? There's really like 5 of the biggest names you've ever heard in private equity. That's Blackstone, the aforementioned KKR, Apollo, the Carlyle Group, and Bain Capital. Bain Capital, by the way, you might remember the Mitt Romney days when he was a figure, a national institutional figure. And you think it's any coincidence that the University of Utah, where my man is from, is the one who accepted $500 million in private equity and opened the door for the rest of the Barbarians? I don't think so. Private equity works like this, guys. They have their own money, certainly, but they raise capital from limited partners. Tons of other capital, billions of dollars in capital, okay? And again, remember this, there is no forever hold ideal here, okay? They want to sell, and they usually sell within 3 to 10 years. And if you're fixed to sell, the decisions that private equity is making for the internal rate of return for their limited partners, those decisions are always about the bottom line. Moving on. You've got to think about what happened in 3 other major institutions in this country of ours. I'm talking about housing. Think about how Blackstone bought 200,000 single-family homes after the Great Recession of 2008, changed the face of how the rental market works and why we're actually in a big housing crisis right now with limited inventory. You've got to think about what went on in retail, to Toys R Us, to Sears, to even the dollar stores when private equity was allowed in and they slashed jobs and they leveraged debt to make the value look a lot better so they can resell, because that's all private equity does. And you think about Hollywood. Look, if you're a fan of Hollywood or you're not, and what the movies that get pumped out, there's a reason why everything's been consolidated and every third movie that comes out is a superhero movie. That's just the reality of where we're at, because private equity is allowed in the door and it's all about the bottom line. Moving on. We have come to this notion that the money is good, the money is bad, but let's really size it up side by side, okay? There are some pros to this, obviously, right? Like, you bring money in, you're going to have better facilities, you're going to have, a bigger arena to play with, you're going to have a bigger audience that's going to be tuned in, because every dollar and every decision is going to be made tilted towards generating that revenue. And even in the name, image, likeness portion of this, if that's where we're all going and this is here to stay, the top athletes, the cream of the crop, are going to have more money to play with, and some of the schools are going to have play, especially some of the smaller schools in some of these conferences, if they start letting private equity in. Yeah, maybe the dean and athletic director are sleeping better at night because they know the coffers are filled with cash and they can play with the big boys, but this comes at a cost. like anything else, okay? The commercialization, you're going to see so many more commercials come to this. You're going to see increase in ticket prices, okay? You're going to see just a real issue of what private equity needs to see. They're going to be slashing jobs. They're going to be trimming, balance sheets, because all they care about is selling the investment later on. And that brings us to the last part of the segment. Who do they sell to? That's really what this comes down to. Who's bigger than private equity? Again, you're either going to sell to another private equity firm, because that's all who has the deep pockets for this, or you're going to sell to the big boys worth billions and soon to be trillions of dollars when you're talking about ESPN and Apple, and maybe Amazon. And now you have media rights controlling school interest. And that's what you've got to think about here. Who's getting hurt, right? This isn't about the students. This isn't about the faculty. This isn't about the taxpayers who often fund public institutions. Now private equity's in the door, and they're the ones making the decision. You're going to sell to another global conglomerate made up of limited partners, or you're going to sell to a sovereign wealth fund. And I'll let you really think about what that means in terms of America. My friends, the barbarians at the gate, do we let them in the door? Well, it's too late. They've already been let in the door, and more are coming. If you like what we said here, please subscribe. This is Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network, and we will continue to go and deep dive financially with AM Pfeffer's Money Matters. Thank you, guys. Let's open the floor to questions.
I got one. And I always feel a lot smarter after this segment, and that's sincere. My question to you: do you think college football? We're talking about all this money now. Do you think college football will do away with conferences altogether? Because the controversy about the 12-team tournament, right? Do you think we'll do away with conferences altogether in the next several years? And will it be more NFL style than it is with the current system?
Yeah, great question. I don't see them doing away with the conferences. And it's a reason, you see what the private equity is trying to do and come in and actually make an investment in the Big Ten, which is now like 20-something teams. Because the notion is this is what America has latched onto, and they understand power conferences and the breakdown of the bowl system. I don't see that going away and becoming more of an NFL system anytime soon. And if private equity has their way, they're going to make the investment that they want for the media rights and get that rate of return so they can flip this and sell this. But a lot of that is contingent on schools staying in those conferences, including USC and Michigan, who are the holdouts right now as to why this Big Ten deal has not gone through yet.
Thanks.
Excellent stuff, fellas. Okay. AM, you the man. You the man. So let's we've got one more basketball topic, and then we're gonna do the rant and the shout out and we out of here. We got to talk about Dillon Brooks and LeBron James. They were at it again on Sunday night. It was theater. It was awesome. So the question is here, don't put me on the clock just yet. Let me set this up a little bit here. Is the LeBron James Dillon Brooks feud good for the game? I bring this up because Stu Lance on the broadcast said this is not good for the game of basketball. And you can put me on the clock now. I disagree, Stu. And I love Stu Lance. I think it's great for the game. LeBron and Brooks were cinema on Sunday night, okay? I think it's fantastic for the game. There was one point in the game where Brooks batted the ball at LeBron. LeBron snapped like Isaiah Stewart when LeBron bloodied him. I don't know if I've seen LeBron that pissed, and I loved it. LeBron was literally beating up the ref. You can't make contact with a ref. They gave him a tech, not an ejection. Fast forward to the end, okay? Dillon Brooks gets ejected after a clutch three, and it was bull crap. LeBron kind of punched Brooks in the abdomen on the closeout kind of blow by, and after he released the shot, Brooks got in Bron's face. He got a tech. It was his second tech, so he got ejected. LeBron acts like a victim and flails and flops. He should have gotten an Oscar for that performance. Seconds later, LeBron was fouled on a three-point attempt, hit 2 out of 3. Devin Booker did not foul him, by the way. That was a phantom call. So bottom line, yes, I think Brooks and Bron and their rivalry is great for the game. Dr. X, what says you?
Man, I love it. It is great for the game. One of my close buddies from medical school reached out to me And I immediately knew who he was talking about, obviously, because he mentioned the players' names, but he was just like Dylan versus Bron coming up next. And so he didn't say the Suns versus the Lakers. He was like Dylan versus Bron. And so I kind of like when you're able to add different layers to a sport that has such a long season, 82 games, and they're just trying to bring interest. So anything that brings interest, any matchup that brings interest, the Suns weren't going to be on my radar and watching a league pass. I just tuned out. I really didn't care, and especially once I saw that Jalen Green wasn't even playing. He played like one game, did well, and that was it. I already tuned out the Suns. I'm still not watching Suns games, but I will now because of this matchup. So I think it's great for the NBA, and it helps push teams that aren't really on people's radars.
Stu Lance, we love you, but so far it's 2 for 2 against you, my man. By the way, I love Stu Lance. I'm just having fun with this whole thing. Dwight Walton, is Brooks and Bron good for the NBA?
I love Stu Lance as well, Rick, but Stu is wrong on this one. I think this is great for the NBA. And listen, everyone knows that I'm a LeBron James advocate, but LeBron James went too far in his antics with the official. Not only should he have been given a technical foul, I believe it was justified. It would have been justified for him to be ejected from the game because the rule book clearly states that you cannot make any contact with an official. You can get in his face, obviously. You can argue. You can do whatever you want, but you can't make any contact with the official. And LeBron James, quite frankly, got away with a couple of egregious fouls towards the end of that game. Booker definitely fouled Bron on the wrist. He did deserve the 3 free throws, but other than that, there was a case for Bron being ejected before any of that happened. But to answer the question, yes, it's great for the game. LeBron James, Dylan Brooks, keep at it, have fun with it. It's great for the league.
B-Dot, we're 3 for 3, man. Are we 4 for 4? Is the feud between Dylan Brooks and LeBron James good for the game?
It's great for the game. Great for the game. Every legend that's been in this game has had an arch villain, someone that they can't stand that always gives them hell, whether win or lose. And I love Dylan Brooks. Never give up, never give in to LeBron nature. I mean, the only person that we've seen done that, Desmond Bain. I don't even want to say Lance Stevenson. Lance was more of just, playing around trying to get in Bron head. Dylan is more physical, and he backs it up. He had a hell of a game. He hit the go-ahead 3, So I love it, and I love LeBron also. But the way that the game ended and how it went out, and I know LeBron is the king, and all that. But it's a certain way you got to come at the official. You can't do that. Nothing's acceptable. Unless you're Michael Jordan. When Michael Jordan told the referee, man, I got fouled right there. The referee said, okay, Mike, you really got fouled? Okay, I got you. I'll look at it next time. So all in all, I love it. And let's keep it going as long as LeBron stays in the league.
Amen. Amen. All right, AM, are we unified here? Do we have a consensus? Is Bron and Brooks good for the game?
I don't know this Stu Lance. I don't know what he does for a living, what he lives on. No, I'm kidding. I'm doing a little Godfather 2 here. I do love Stu Lance. He's a great guy. But he's wrong about this. It's great for the game. 5 for 5, my friends. It absolutely is great for the game. I don't need my 60 seconds. Sometimes the NBA, it's a little soft, a little softer than it should be, a little softer than the heyday of this great league that I know and love. And I love to see the chippiness. I love to see LeBron fired up. I love to see guys getting into it a little bit. The league needs as much of that as possible within reason. That's all I'm going to say. Great for the game.
Awesome. I just quickly want to give Dr. X a little bit of dap. I love the point you made. Look, we love hoops, right? We're all hoop heads here. But there are some games on League Pass. It's just monotonous, right? And so to get like a supercharged game like Suns and Lakers because of Bron and Brooks, I just thought that was a great point, Doc. And again, I'm not trying to say the NBA is boring in any way, but some games are a lot more elevated than others. And clearly when the Lakers and Suns play each other, you have to tune in, grab some popcorn, and get ready to throw it, in your mouth. All right, let's get to the rants, guys. Let's get to the rants. And I do believe I may have come up with a good one here. I got to get to the spot in my rundown way down here. at the bottom. Oh my gosh, here we go. Where are we? Sorry, guys. We got rundown issues here, and we are there. All right, time for the rant, guys. Steve Kerr. Oh, Doc, your boy, Steve Kerr. Yes, we're back. Okay. Steve Kerr does not coach the Warriors. I'm going to say that again. Steve Kerr does not coach the Warriors. Rick Celebrini does. And in our audience right now, who in the hell is Rick Celebrini? Rick Celebrini is the director of sports medicine and performance for the Warriors. Okay. Steve Kerr doesn't brush his teeth or tie his shoes without checking with Celebrini first. Okay. Steve Kerr doesn't set his lineups or his rotations. Celebrini does. Okay. Boy, Celebrini must really, really dislike Jonathan Kuminga. Okay. Because he never plays. It's Celebrini's fault. You didn't even know that, did you? All right. The Warriors are the only team in the league. The only team in the league that does the rest everybody forfeiture. They will rest Steph, Green, Butler, maybe a couple of other guys, and get drilled every time. They literally forfeit games. Here you go. There's your win. We don't want to win tonight because we got to rest because Celebrini says so, okay? And this is Coach Celebrini managing minutes, load, all that bull crap that's significantly hurting our beloved NBA. And it creates unwatchable games. If I'm a Warriors fan, I'm like, yo, we suck. We're mid, and we're just doing a line change where nobody plays, and we automatically are losing a game. What is that? That's Warriors basketball right now, okay? The latest glaring example of Coach Celebrini screwing up the Warriors was Sunday night in Portland. Buckle up, guys. I'm just getting started. Coach Celebrini literally kept Steph Curry from tying or breaking Klay Thompson's single-game three-ball record of 14. Steph had 48 points, 12 threes in a tight loss to the Blazers. Steph was rolling in the fourth quarter, 13 points in the first 6 minutes of the quarter. Then Steve Kerr subbed him out. Celebrini subbed him out at the 5:30 mark for Trace Jackson-Davis. Then they subbed him back in at the 4:12 mark. So he sat in the middle of an epic heater for 1 minute and 18 seconds, okay? But this led to a serenade from Blazers fans in Portland who were booing Steve Kerr. I mean Celebrini, because they did not agree with the substitution, all right? So Steph comes back out, hits a three at 3:11 left, scores a layup at 2:33, and hits his last three, his 12th of the game at 1:26, and that was the end of his scoring. But let's go back to that minute 18. When he was on the bench, guys, the Blazers went on a run and widened their lead. And video clips from the game show Curry on the bench looking upset and animated as the lead evaporated, and it was an unusual display of anger for Steph Curry, okay? Steve Kerr, like Bill Belichick, has lost his way. He is a GOAT coach. You can't take that away from him. He's a future Hall of Famer. He's the coach of a dynasty, and I give him a ton of credit for that. But his best work is in the past, okay? He has lost his way. He refuses to develop young players. He insists on playing small when it's a losing proposition. He lets the performance guy tell him who's playing and who's not, okay? This is not a guy who's got his ish together. The Warriors are 6th in turnovers, 20th in offense, 5-9 in clutch games, and they just wasted 87 combined points from Steph in 2 straight losses. They're now 13-14. Steve Kerr came out and said, I'm not doing my job well this year. No shit, Steve, okay? The Warriors were 13-13 heading into that Portland game. The Warriors are so freaking mid. Now they're 13-14, 8th place on a road to nowhere. If there was ever a time to ignore the performance guy and ride the hot hand, it was Sunday night in Portland. But Steve Kerr was more loyal to Celebrini's precious rotation and prescribed rest than he was the greatest shooter of all time and the guy that led to him being a Hall of Fame coach. It's absolutely pathetic. Anybody else got a rant here today?
I do. Rick, I got a rant for you. Oh, but Dwight, please go ahead, because I did a lot of talking previously. Dwight, you're up. You're up. Okay.
I'm on several group chats, and all the negative talk about the NBA Cup, with all due respect, I'm sick and tired of it. I think the Adam Silver and the NBA League office have done a fantastic job of trying to make the NBA's regular season a lot more interesting. Yes, we may agree or disagree on some of the rules changes, how the league has gone so offense centric. A lot of the fouls that are being called, players are going to the free throw line at an all-time high rate right now. But I think the NBA Cup signifies, and you can see it from the players, how important it is to them. And yes, money is the ultimate motivating factor. The courts are great. The atmospheres are great. You can see the players are playing harder in these games. And based on the first couple of years, and on Saturday night, the Final Four in Las Vegas has been theater. It has been fantastic, and we look forward to these games. I know next season the semifinals are going to be on the home floors, and then they haven't chosen where the final game is going to be. It could be back in Las Vegas, or they can go to a different city. Whatever the case, I want to applaud Adam Silver and the NBA brass for bringing the NBA Emirates Cup to fruition, for bringing it to the NBA, for adding more interest and more competitive spirit from the players, because you can see the difference, especially when the court is different. And having the Final Four in Vegas for the first 3 years has been a fantastic idea. Where it goes from here remains to be seen. I just hope that the NBA's All-Star game could take lessons and take note from how this NBA Cup has been fantastic. This is on the players. The players have made this exciting. The players need to make the All-Star game exciting. But I just want to sit here and applaud Adam Silver and the NBA's front office for doing a fantastic job and trying to create more interest in an era where a lot more negativity seems to sell than positivity.
Oh, strike two.
That was strike two. I couldn't agree with you more, Dwight. 8:30 p.m. Eastern tonight. It is Knicks. It is Spurs. NBA Cup, baby, from Vegas. AM, you have a rant. Go ahead.
Gentlemen, I've waited a long time for this one. And it's a perfect timing. And before I even begin, I wanted to be clear, this is not hot take. Anyone who's known me for a very long time knows privately I've discussed this. I've said it out loud many, many times. But now it is the perfect time to bring it up because my beloved Indiana Hoosiers saw one of their own for the very first time bring home the hardware. The Heisman Trophy is now in Bloomington, my friends. And guess what? I don't care. Not only do I not care, I think the Heisman is such a load of crap and has been for such a long time. I'm not even that excited about it. This is like a travel expense report disguised as some college football tradition we should all care about. 870 writers make up the voting block on this. About 60 past Heisman winners, if they're living, get to vote on this. And then the public gets it all wrapped up into one vote, and they're not even allowed in the door. So who's sitting in that audience besides who the 4 finalists get to bring with their family and their friends? It's all writers who descended on New York City for a weekend of steak and boozing, and they try and tell you it's a tradition like no other. Sorry, masters. But some dude from Omaha coming in and getting his one weekend away because it's the Heisman Trophy, which, by the way, is not a depiction of the best player in college football. It hasn't been very, very long time. Is a joke. It's gross. And I love my Hoosiers. I'm excited to see them because I'm going to be live at the Rose Bowl to watch them play either Oklahoma or Alabama. But as far as the Heisman Trophy is concerned, you think I'm going around bragging that Fernando Mendoza took it home this year? I'm not. I don't care. The Heisman's a joke. Every other award actually means something. You will never see me tune in to watch the Heisman Trophy be awarded at the end of the season. And I honestly hope at some point they end this tradition, if not for the writers getting their free weekend in New York City. I guess that's the one thing they get. I'm part of the media, so we should all get our little flowers here and there. But no, not this time. It's a joke.
Wow. I did not have that on my bingo card. I kind of figured you'd bring up Mendoza, AM, but I did not have on my bingo card.
I'm telling it like it is, Rick. I'm telling it like it is.
Look, I largely agree with you. You know, I'm a huge college football guy, and so many times I disagree with the guy that ultimately wins the Heisman for a variety of different reasons, right? It's anyway. So, but I love that take. Dwight, or pardon me, Dr. X, do you have a rant for us?
Didn't have a rant prepared, but what I was hearing earlier this week had to do with people saying that the Knicks will be could potentially win a trophy since 1973, which was funny to me because I don't count the cup. I have respect for the cup, as Dwight was saying. I love that it's around, but the Knicks better not raise any banners if they win tonight, and the Spurs definitely shouldn't raise any banners for that. I think there should be talk of a trophy given out to the Eastern Conference finalists, but I still don't even care about that. It's all about the NBA Finals. That's what matters to me, and that's how I ultimately feel about the NBA MVP. I feel that it's necessary for younger players. It's a good benchmark to know that you're where you stand on top of the league. But ultimately, Finals MVP matters, and winning the finals matter. So with this cup thing, yeah, the win is the cash prize, but I don't want to see no banners being raised. I don't want to see no trophies. I don't want to see no parade. The trophy I understand, but all that other stuff, it needs to stay in its lane. This is not a championship for the New York Knicks if we win it. It's an NBA Cup championship, and that's it.
Doc, are you okay with champagne being sprayed and ski goggles and
No.
and an alcoholic-inspired celebration after the win? Are you okay with that?
I'm not okay with that. That kind of reminds me of Patrick Beverly celebrating after like a playoff win against the Clippers, I believe, or whatever it was. I think it was like in-season tournament game, and they got the playoff bid when he was with the Timberwolves. So no, I don't even want to see that, man, because I think they'll probably use it as a meme if we don't get all the way to the finals, And I don't want them to feel like they can relax now. I kind of want them to have that fire in their belly still. And so to me, a cup doesn't need to have that much emphasis outside of helping younger players, building the camaraderie. It's good to build interest and fire, just for certain matchups. And hopefully the players lock in every year early now. No one's building up to it because they know the implications.
I love the takes, man. I love the takes. All right, we'll go around the room here and say goodbye to the people here with a shout out. Doc, do you have a shout out before we get out?
Well, I got to get out right now, and I appreciate everybody. Thanks again for coming through. Looking forward to my Knicks, and I want to shout out Mike Brown, even though I don't know him personally, but I'm really excited about the job that he's doing with the Knicks, and I look to see how they stack up against Wemby tonight, Wemby and the Spurs. And yeah, I really don't have anything, man, because I'm so distracted about this game that's coming on at 8:30 in Prime. If y'all don't have it, subscribe. Let's go Knicks.
All right, Dr. X, you the man. You the man. AM Pfeffer, you got a shout out before we get out.
Yeah, quick shout out. Heavy heart today, what happened in the past couple of days in the Reiner ecosystem. I mean, regardless of where you land on the political spectrum, this is an individual who was responsible for so much of the climate in the zeitgeist in the 80s and the 90s and even the 2000s. I mean, he was a champion of Seinfeld, one of the most well-regarded shows. I mean, he was actually largely responsible as the head of Castle Rock to have kept that on, not to mention the tons of other movies and things that he had done. And, look, I'm a pop culture guy as much as I am a sports guy. So this is heavy. This goes deep and it goes beyond Hollywood and movies here as to what happened and addiction and just terribleness. And, I just don't want anyone who's younger than me to think like this has to stain the legacy that Rob Reiner had left and the movies that he had made. Please watch them, enjoy them, love them, Seinfeld included, which is on every streaming outlet you could possibly imagine. We should celebrate art and what was made and not let this be the legacy that's left as to what happened in the past few days.
Great call, man. Great call. Dwight, do you have a shout out before we get out?
Justin, to continue on that theme, I was a huge soap opera fan growing up. I used to watch General Hospital. Anthony Geary from Luke and Laura, he passed away as well. I want to send my condolences to his family, his friends, his fans around the world. Again, General Hospital, I grew up on it. I used to rush home to watch it with my mom, my late mom. So there was a special connection there. I just want to send out condolences to the family and friends of Anthony Geary, more famous for his name, Luke, and his wife Laura.
Excellent stuff once again. B. Dot, you got a shout out before we get out.
I had a rant. And that's cool.
Yo, okay, then hit us with a rant, dude. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. I just waiting my turn, in the corner like Rui, waiting for LeBron to pass it. I'm gonna knock it down. We're gonna close it out like this, okay? This is my rant, ladies and gentlemen. No. I have watched WWE my whole life, and I can honestly say this is not it. You mean to tell me John Cena, Mr. Never Give Up, denim shorts, saluting the kids, carrying the company on his back for 2 decades, went out, tap out style, to a sleeper hold? I don't like this. I just don't like it at all. I'm sitting here like Kevin Hart on a roller coaster, just stop upside down. Hey, somebody got to fix this. Because when did Mr. Never Give Up turn into, nah, I'm cool, you got it? 20 years of superhuman booking, fighting the entire roster, surviving steel cages, cheers, ladders, fires, lightning, taxes, and this is how we end it? And don't get me wrong, Gunther's a beast, okay? Respect to that man, all right? Him taking that next level, taking that crown. But this ain't about him. This is about creativity. This is about common sense. Cena could have passed out. He could have faded. He could have went unconscious like every superhero movie ever. But tapping out, that's like Batman saying, Joker, you win, and then calling the Uber home. Look, Triple H, y'all tripping, okay? And then Triple H, he want to come here talking about it's right for the business. The crowd was chanting bull spit, okay? Like it was church, and everybody finally told the truth. Fans booing like Santa just canceled Christmas. I respect the tradition. Go out on your back, put the next star over. Cool. But you don't humiliate the GOAT on the way out. That ending felt like a downer, okay? A wet blanket. A bad breakup text at 2 a.m. John Cena deserved better, okay? WWE owed him better. And if that's right for business, then business need to check itself. That's all I got to say.
Excellent, man. Excellent. And B-Dot, do you have a shout out as well, or is that your final word of the show?
Man, I'm going to shout out my mama, man. I'm shout out my mama. Got to shout out my mom. I love her. She birthed me, and I think I've turned out to be somewhat of a good man, so props to her. And she makes some good food. And she coming home, and she coming out here to Phoenix for Christmas. So shout out to my mama.
Let's go, man. Let's go. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah.
I want to say something, Rick. I want to thank you for the great guests you have brought onto the show. It's been awesome, and to actually converse with these people and to be able to ask them questions and for them to be so engaging, it's a testament to you. Thank you very much. You've brought the credibility to the show, and it's been a lot of fun to do, man. Thank you very much. Much respect.
I'm really, I really super appreciate you saying that, Dwight. I really do. Thank you. It's my pleasure. Super blessed and honored to be with you guys on the X-Rated Sports Network. Could not be happier to be here. And I have some good news. The great Kendall Gill will be joining us on Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. One of the great defensive players, one of the great two-way players of his day. And I mean, he played on that Charlotte team with LJ and Alonzo Moore. Remember that badass team, right? So we'll have fun with Kendall Gill. He's a fantastic dude. He does a lot of boxing, so maybe one of you guys want to ask him about that. And I think he still trains and does all kind of stuff. But dude, this guy, he still looks like he could play. And I don't know, what is he, 50, 55, whatever he is, but he still looks fantastic. And we got Kendall Gill coming up on Friday. Quick shout out for me, Brandon Scoopy Robinson. Dwight, to your point, coming on, bringing the love, bringing a lot of great intel, and we shout out Brandon Scoopy Robinson. We will be back, guys, Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Again, Kendall Gill will join us at 3 Eastern. For Dr. X, for Dwight Walton, for A.M. Pfeffer, for Brandon Armstrong, a.k.a. B-Dot, I'm Rick Kamla. Also, big thanks behind the glass to Jason Arambula and Kai Josephson, J-Rock, and so do you. We will see you Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern with another edition of the X-Rated Sports Network's Beyond the Surface. Bye-bye.